Ada for forcing my husband to take in his estranged daughter despite his wishes. So, my husband and I are currently cooling down from a fight. And he called me a few things, including asshole. Everything is a bit of a mess right now, so emotions are running high, but I really need a sanity check and maybe some fresh arguments because I feel like we are going in circles. My husband had a daughter when he was in his early 20s with his ex-girlfriend. They were not good for each other, a lot of fighting and just emotional abuse. So they split just before the child was born. He has been very open about this in our relationship and how he regrets not taking more care to not get her pregnant because they were young and immature and stupid. He never really got to build a relationship with his daughter. Her mother would just keep the kid from him and made it clear that she did not want him in their life. He has paid child support the whole way through, but it has been uphill for our entire relationship. When we met, my husband had matured greatly and was eventually ready to start a family. So I have seen a bit from the sideline. When our first child was born, his ex went for more child support because if he can afford a new kid, he can afford to pay up. She is always being super nasty in any conversation they might have. And she taught their daughter the same thing. He has tried to at least get a phone call for Christmas, and last year his daughter said some really awful things on that call. Calling him deadbeat and other awful things, telling him she hates him and never wants to get to know him. She is 13 now, so I know that her mother is still influencing her a lot, but she is also reaching an age where he can't just say that she doesn't know what she is saying or how hurtful it is. So my husband has basically given up trying. None of them want him to try, so he resigned to that. A few days ago, he got a call. The core of it is that his daughter told a teacher that she was being SA'd at home. CPS showed up and her mother split, disappearing. They want her to come live with us. My husband want to decline. He has no relationship with this child, she seems to hate his gut, we have younger children and honestly, no experience dealing with a trauma like that. He believes she would be better off with a foster family who knows what they are dealing with. I told him that there is no way this kid got abused, abandoned, and then getting rejected from the only family she has. We are taking her in and we will figure out the rest. That poor kid needs some stability, not getting tossed around in the system. Currently we are not in agreement and I know that he has the last word since I'm just his partner and not related to this girl. Am I being unreasonable in thinking this is a huge red flag and that he needs to step up to be a father for her too? Edit. Okay, this has been a bit overwhelming to come back to, but I'll try to clear up a few things. I'm aware I have no legal say in the matter, but my husband and I are a team and a family, so my opinion matters to him. Neither of us have experience with the foster system, so we are really just going off what we think we know. I want to thank everyone who has been able to elaborate a bit more on this. Yes, my husband was a deadbeat dad in the beginning. Later on he's been able to see that they were a really bad match, but that he should probably have tried harder. Once visits became an option he tried, but she would forget and not be home or say it wasn't the date they agreed on and stuff like that. Maybe he could have gone through court, but he just gave up really. Hindsight is 20/20, but it doesn't change the fact of the now. Unfortunately. Mini update, we sat down to have a talk about why the discussion had gone off the rails. Not touching the subject yet, but just why we ended up in a screaming match. He told me that he was completely overwhelmed by this and was in a panic. According to him, the CPS person had made it sound like he could take her in or she would go into a system that spits out drug-addicted prostitutes, as one comment colorfully put it. He feels really guilty for letting this happen to his kid. Even if she hates his guts, he feels like he should have done something to prevent this. I guess I was too focused on how bad his daughter might be off right now to truly see that he was hurting just as bad right now. We've agreed to talk about it again in the morning in a more calm setting and try to get some more facts about what can be done. It's like 2 a.m. and I'm exhausted, but we have both called off work tomorrow so we can take the time we need. I hope there is a positive update in the near future. Comments. Commenter 1. What you are trying to do is admirable, but will likely blow up your family. You cannot even imagine the damage that has been done to this child. The stress will be so hard on your entire family, and your children don't deserve that any more than the daughter deserved what was done to her. There's another option. Foster care placement with frequent visits. She can start therapy and have time to get to know you and your family. Your family can start therapy and learn ways to handle her and help her. It may work out or it may not, but you'll have tried while balancing your children and giving your husband time to adjust. You're not abandoning her this way. Commenter 2. If you make this choice unilaterally, there's a real chance you are going to destroy your family. Think about that for a minute. The simple fact is, that although it's objectively the right thing to do, many people are not equipped in the first place to help people who have trauma. Asking someone who is probably already one of these people to take under their wing someone who has also been part of their own trauma, could end badly. Real chance he could just go fuck this, you want to take her in. She's your problem and start divorce proceedings. Also, you have young kids of your own. You really want to inflict the tension of this on your own family too. Also there's the fact that if she isn't helped as much as she needs it, which I've already expressed, there's a good chance you'll fail at, not cause you're bad, but because it's fucking hard. Most people who abuse were abused. Just saying, taking her in is objectively the correct and humane thing to do. But so is protecting your husband. Your kids. This isn't clear-cut. Why WBTA if you make this choice unilaterally without having a very clear discussion with your husband? Edit TOADD, assuming it's even possible for you to make this choice unilaterally, as others have said, you have no legal right or standing to this child outside of your husband. Update. Things are pretty hectic right now, but a lot of people were kind enough to take time out of their day to offer advice and their own experiences, and I want to say thank you for that. I'm not going into details, there is a lot more going than I'm sharing here, so I can assure you that divorce is nowhere near on the table for us. We have had several tough talks in the last few days, but once we got past the worst panic, we were a lot more on the same page than we thought. My husband have agreed to take responsibility for his daughter and is looking into an emergency custody of her. We are not trying to play family as some suggested. He is going to take legal charge of her and keep her out of the system. She will not be living with us right now. We have contacted an inpatient therapy clinic that can take her in to start the healing process. My husband is taking leave from work and leasing a second car so he can be there as much as needed possible. He knows she might never consider him her father or even family, but from now on, we will be her support system. She won't have to depend on a poor overworked CPS contact, random legal guardians, homes changing, etc. If she needs therapy, we will get it for her. If she needs legal counsel, we will get it for her. If she needs the system, we will help her navigate it. If she wants to live with a foster family, we will support that. We will make it clear that our support is not conditioned on her playing family with us. She never has to set foot in our home if she chooses not to. We know that she might never appreciate any of it, but that is okay too. We have some savings we can take from, and we are setting up a college fund for her as well. It will not make her rich, but we hope to be able to cover at least some of it when the time comes. We're starting family therapy as well to start talking to our kids about the fact that they have a sister and that dad will be gone a lot more for a while. My husband will be starting therapy as well to work on his guilt and hurt from this whole situation. Comments. Reply. I'll admit, the comments on the first thread were hard to read, but it did make me see that I was too naive. I have no doubt it is going to be hard, but right now we have a plan, some sort of direction for this. Most of it is theoretical at this point, but I hope we can make it work. Update. I am not going to go into details, but kind people have reached out and offered help and advice, and I want to thank you all for that. We did not ship my stepdaughter off to a mental asylum indefinitely. She was with professionals that could make an in-depth assessment of her health and outline a plan for us while starting the process. My husband was there as much as his daughter and her doctor wanted him to be. Her mom showed up. There is a criminal investigation going on, and my stepdaughter has, with the help of her therapist, testified. We are so proud of her and hope this can be a stepping stone for her to move forward. She lives with us now, and we are working closely with professionals about how to make it work. It's not perfect, it's not easy, it's not fun. But it is not something we would change. And I can't believe I have to say this, but yes, we asked her what she wanted all the way through this. We have not forced her to do anything. Update. Last September I turned to Reddit after having an argument with my husband. We found ourselves in a difficult situation after it came to light that his daughter from a previous relationship had been SA'd and her mom disappeared. A lot of people weighed in and reached out, and we got some very different perspectives on the whole thing. This is mostly a good update, but there are obviously a lot of bad stuff popping up along the way. I can't believe I have to spell this out, but we have spoken with my stepdaughter, we'll call her N, about every step of the way, what she wanted, how we could make it work. And yes, we have spent a lot of money on this. Thankfully we were in a decent place financially, and my ILs have been helping out as well. I guess bad news first. Mom and her BF showed up eventually, and there is a trial in the works. I can't say too much, but I honestly think my husband was ready to go to jail for murder at several points. And testified, on video thankfully, so she did not have to sit through it in front of these people. My husband is there, with her permission. N's therapist had alerted us and the police that he suspected that she has been drugged on some occasions, based on the things they talked about. My husband came home from that meeting and started researching how to get a gun. No, we did not get a gun with toddlers in the house. Unfortunately, there is no real chance of mom and BF going to jail nearly as long as they deserve, which is forever IMO, but they will most likely get some jail time at least. Therapy is going well all in all. N's therapist have facilitated some sessions between N and my husband which have been tough for both of them. A lot of things said. As the title says, N lives with us and has since she felt ready to after being in inpatient care for a few weeks. We cleared out the office and we got the biggest lock we could find for her door. It's symbolic mostly, but she can lock that door as much as she wants, on her terms. We only ask that she keeps it fairly clean and no smoking drugs. She is welcome at all meals but not forced, and I always make enough that she can have it later if she wants. We did not see much of her in the first months, which was pretty expected from what we were told by our family therapist. One of us is always home, unless we go out all five, and available. My husband got more WFH days so we can make it work. We don't force her to interact with her step-siblings, but she is mostly neutral towards them. We have implemented a no touching others without asking permission rule, and sometimes the kids slip up and forget in the heat of the moment, but she has taken it super cool so far. A few weeks back, our boy ran over to the TV while she was watching something and demanded I put on his favorite show. He's only seen it like 10,000 times. I told him no, and is using the TV and he has to wait his turn. Without any prompting, and told him it was okay, switched over and watched an episode with him. He was ecstatic and demanded another episode, which they watched before I pried him off the couch so she could watch her thing. I thanked her and assured her that she was free to say no in the future, and she said she didn't mind really. So, yeah. She's not skipping school more than other teenagers. I know she has some Snapchat streak with some of the girls in her class that they do every day. Saving up for a new iPhone, stuff like that. Again, I'm not including all the details of our lives obviously. There are bad days and fights and yelling too, but I am cautiously optimistic that N is going to turn out alright in the end. She is still not calling my husband dad and probably never will, but that's fine. We just want her to be able to live her life the best she can. Comments. Commenter 1. Thank you for providing her with the safety and stability she needs to process what happened and take the necessary steps towards healing. I'm also glad to hear that there will be some kind of justice for her, and that they allowed her to testify via video. Her bravery and strength is truly commendable. Reply, we have really done our best to stress how brave she is being by speaking up and out against them. Once her part was wrapped up, my husband came home with 6 different kinds of ice cream and threw us an ice cream for dinner party. It was super silly but very sweet, and I think she got a little of that "oh my gosh dad, you are so embarrassing" teenage feeling for the first time. We ended up only eating maybe 1 box in total. I think the last bit is still sitting in the freezer. Commenter 2. It sounds like you are doing all the right things. Keep at it and things will hopefully only get better. Commenter 3. Exactly. She's doing everything possible to give N stability and control over her space. That kind of patience and care will matter more than she knows. Reply, we're trying at least. I'll admit that none of us are perfect parents or guardians. A few months ago the young ones had some stomach flu and I didn't sleep for days. I was trying to take care of these 2 sick kids, not feeling great myself and just wearing thin. I asked N to help me with something and she told me "you're not my mom," or something along those lines. I honestly cannot remember the exact words, and I just snapped and told her that thank God for that because her mom is a shit person. Not my finest moment. I apologized, but I was on ice for a month or 2, which is totally fair. I really do normally make an effort to not speak badly of her mom. Commenter 4. It's not easy for anyone this situation, but it sounds like you're doing the right thing most days, and that's good as it's better than most do. Hang in there and try and allow yourself and your husband a me time to recharge the emotional battery. Everyone needs it and it isn't selfish. Reply, I'll admit, I do miss our life from before we suddenly had a teenager and a criminal case on our hands. Just being in that system, even secondarily, is hell, but I do think she's a good kid at heart. Still tests us at times, especially when she's in contact with her mom. They are not meeting obviously, but they have some phone time. Again, we are following the advice of professionals. My husband was not on board at first. And I get it, I really do. I wish that woman would sink into the earth and live out the rest of eternity in hell. Commenter 5. Is there someone monitoring these calls at the very least? I know she's a teenager, but her mother is obviously not great and teenagers are not immune to manipulation. I was abused my father and reported it at 16 myself and still almost fell for his manipulation. Reply, We are in the room and she is on speaker for all calls, and we always make sure and can talk to her therapist either online or in person within a few days of each call. We've made it clear that she decides if she wants to talk to her, but cutting her off has to be her own choice, with the guidance from us and professionals. Stories number 2. Karen let the toddlers out, shocked she is banned. Our town has a children's museum. It's cute, full of activities from baby through 9 or so. The baby and toddler areas have gates that latch for obvious reasons. Well, Karen decided she would use authority to have her toddler leave. So she opens the toddler gate and tells her child it's time to leave now. Well, her kid doesn't move and clearly wants to stay and play. Instead of closing the gate, retrieving the toddler, and going on with life, Karen decided to hold the gate open and start demanding her toddler listen. So of course other toddlers book it out, and Karen continues to hold the gate open and does nothing to prevent this and just keeps yelling at her kid. Instant chaos as parents and a grandparent scramble out to catch the escaped tots. Toddlers are running to open elevators, to balconies, into the manager's office, and my child was booking it towards the stairs. I am about to catch her when she ducks into the art room, messy but safe, and I notice a toddler nearly to the stair landing, which are 2-story and stone, glance quickly and see grandma going as fast as she can but nowhere near fast enough, so I leave my kid to her painty fate and snatch up Darius and deliver him to a grateful grandma. I hear a dad say close the gate as he has one twin in surfboard meltdown and another has just booked it out of the gate towards me and the paint room. This Karen then yells at him that it's not her job to watch his kids, she's got 3 kids of her own to handle. She is still holding open the gate. I'm acting as a shepherd of sorts between the toddlers and the stairs. Paint is everywhere with unsupervised tots not wearing their paint-proof smocks going hog wild. Apparently my daughter's favorite color is yellow. With this sudden chaos, a manager came to see what was happening and 2 dads point to Karen, who finally picked up her child and shut the gate. Karen then tells the manager how she felt unsafe because the dad who yelled closed the gate. And demands action. By then I head over yellow gremlin in arms as all the tots are corralled and me and grandma back up the dads and say how irresponsible her behavior was. Karen then launches into a tirade about how it's not her job to watch all of our children. The manager tells her she is banned and she starts screaming, so security gather her and her 3 kids and march them out. I feel bad for her children, but honestly girl, how entitled do you have to be? A simple, I'm sorry I froze when the kids ran out. I wasn't thinking straight. Literally anything but SHE. Wanted to act like SHE was a victim of unsafe after releasing half a dozen toddlers into dangerous situations. Stories number 3. Girlfriend, 22F, coming to visit and stay with my 20M family. She said some really insensitive and hurtful things towards my sister, 22F, although she now feels terrible and very sorry. My sister is still extremely upset, however. I don't know how to handle the situation. My girlfriend is 22 years old, I'm 20. We've been together informally for about a year, and we knew each other before that, and we've been in a serious official committed relationship for 10 months. My girlfriend has never met my family, and I was planning for some time to go visit back home for 3 weeks to celebrate my sister's 22nd birthday. My girlfriend was happy about that and she suggested coming along as it would be a good opportunity to meet my family for the first time, and I thought that was a wonderful idea. I called up my parents and asked if it was okay if she came, and they said sure, they would also like to meet her, and they prepared the spare bedroom for her. We arrived home and things were going great for the first week. They met each other, they really liked each other, things were going fantastic. We celebrated my sister's birthday, it was really amazing, and my girlfriend and sister really seemed to get along and like each other. For me, it is something incredibly special and important that they get along because they are both 2 important people in my life and dear to me, so it made me feel very happy and warm inside that they really liked each other. However, after the birthday, in the next few days, I noticed things downturned. My girlfriend became a bit more cold towards my sister, not as pleasant. She said something really mean to her when we went out one day. My sister suggested to my girlfriend that we go swimming at the beach. She said the weather was really nice and my girlfriend would love the beach. My girlfriend had also brought her bathers and she was more than happy to go. We went, the 3 of us, and we were having fun, until my girlfriend said something really insensitive and hurtful. We were sitting in the sand after swimming about and just relaxing, and my girlfriend noticed my sister had all these old scars. My sister used to have really bad depression, and still gets depression sometimes, though not as bad. When she was at the height of her major depression, she used to purge and self-harm quite frequently. The scars are all around her thigh area, and she is extremely sensitive and embarrassed about them. She worries people will think she's a freak if people see them, even though my parents and I always try to reassure her about them. Since they are high up on her thigh areas, you normally can't see them at all when she wears normal clothing, but since we were out at the beach and she was wearing a bikini, they were now clearly visible. My girlfriend noticed the scars, and pointed and said, "What are those?" My sister just responded very matter-of-factly, "Those are scars from when I used to self-harm." My girlfriend said, "Why on earth would you do that?" I piped in and pointed out that she went through a really difficult period a while back and had depression, but she feels much better nowadays and we're all thankful we were able to get past that period as a family. My girlfriend said, "It's a stupid thing to do, why would you harm yourself? I think girls who do that just do it for attention." My sister told her she has no idea what she's talking about and she has no idea what it's like to live and wake up every day hating yourself and wanting to hurt yourself, but my girlfriend maintained she just thought it was a form of attention seeking, and she was like, "I'm so glad I don't have scars like that." My sister just replied, "Well, good for you," and she was incredibly upset at this point and got up and stormed away down the beach to sit somewhere else far away. I asked my girlfriend what's gotten into her and why she was saying that stuff. She insisted she wasn't trying to be mean, but my sister was too sensitive and took it the wrong way. I told her she was being incredibly stupid and she should really think about what she says, especially if she knows the person has a history of depression, because some words can be really hurtful. I got up and left her and went to sit by my sister, leaving my girlfriend alone by herself. My sister wasn't in the mood for talking about what had just happened, so instead we talked about some other stuff and shared some jokes. My sister then started talking about my girlfriend and said, "You sure know how to pick them, huh?" I told her I had no idea what had gotten over her, and she's normally so very nice, and she was being nice to her all these past days. I don't know why suddenly she was acting like this. Maybe there was something she was hiding or something she wasn't telling me. I was sure eventually she'll realize why what she said was hurtful and apologize. When we got back home, I had a really private conversation with my girlfriend. I explained to her why what she said was hurtful to my sister, because my sister was in fact going through a really difficult emotional period when she did those cuts, and to imply it was all for attention was incredibly dismissive of the real emotions she was feeling at the time. I told her my sister had every right to be upset with what she said, and I think a much-deserved apology would go a long way in mending fences. My girlfriend agreed and she went and apologized to my sister with what sounded like a really sincere and heartfelt apology. My sister accepted it and said that she herself had overreacted and that girlfriend shouldn't feel bad. I was glad, but unfortunately that was not the end of it, though I wanted it to be. Next day we were at a restaurant having lunch. It was really busy and they were late for the food, and when they brought the food to our table, they had brought the wrong thing for my sister and not what she had ordered. My sister wanted to tell them so that she could get the meal she ordered, but my girlfriend kept telling her to just go with it and eat what she got. My sister said no, she ordered something, she should be able to eat that, she didn't want to eat the other thing, and my girlfriend said it would just make them take even longer and they'd be there for longer. They got into an argument, and my sister was telling her it's none of her business. Then my girlfriend snapped at her and said, "Why do you always have to be the center of everything? Why does it always have to be about you?" My sister got upset and asked her why she was being so mean. She didn't know why she hated her, she had really tried to be nice to her and like her, but she felt like she was just being mean to her for no reason. My girlfriend responded that she thinks my sister is entitled and self-absorbed and narcissistic. My sister then looked like she was about to cry and tears came in her eyes, and my girlfriend just said, "I don't give a fuck if you cry, what are you gonna do, go cut yourself?" My sister then burst out crying loudly in the middle of the restaurant. It was very awkward, there were many people around us and they were all looking at us. She was very, very hurt and she was crying over my shoulder. I put my arms around her and comforted her and told my girlfriend I was very upset with her and I think she should leave us alone for a while. My girlfriend got up and left and said, "Make sure drama queen doesn't hang herself or slice her wrists open." I stayed with my sister and calmed her down until she stopped crying. She must have kept crying for at least half an hour, it was that bad. We didn't even end up eating much of our meal that we paid for, and I took her to the bathroom to dry up and wash her face. She kept saying to me, "Why does she hate me so much? What have I done to her? Am I really that bad?" I calmed her down and hugged her and told her there was nothing wrong with her, she's done nothing wrong, but I need to have a serious talk with her today. I can't believe at all why she's acting like this. If she had a problem with me, she should take it out with me, not on my sister. She was still sorrowful, but we went home after that, and I went to talk with my girlfriend. I sat my girlfriend down in my room and we had a big talk. Instantly, she said, I know, I am so sorry, I am really sorry, I don't know what's come over me. She seemed to know she was acting so cruel and she admitted it and said she felt terrible, she had no idea why. I told her I know she's normally such a kind person, why had she turned all of a sudden, into, well, a bitch? She said she agreed and she deserved that word entirely. She told me she thinks she knew the reason. She told me lately she's been feeling extremely jealous of seeing me around my sister and the close bond she's realized that I have with her. She said she feels very hurt and envious because we don't have that ourselves. She said you two grew up together and you have all these years of memories and experiences together and have always been a part of each other's lives, I wish we had that. I told her we will have that, but she shouldn't compare herself to my sister, they are two entirely different things. I told her however she felt with the way I was acting, she had no right to take that out on my sister, that was incredibly immature and hurtful. She agreed and said she felt absolutely shit about herself. She told me one thing that had really set her off was when I gave my sister my present to her on her birthday. I'd bought her a hardcover edition of Anne of Green Gables, her favorite and most beloved book from her childhood, and I'd written a special note inside. My girlfriend said she remembers how much that made my sister feel happy and ecstatic when I gave it to her, and she had cried and felt so happy, not because of the book itself but because I remembered its sentimental value and how much she had loved that book from her childhood, even though she probably didn't mention it or ask for it. My girlfriend compared that to the gift I'd gotten her for her birthday, a jewelry item, which while much more expensive, was generic and probably didn't have as much thought put into it since every guy can guess a woman would appreciate jeweler. I told her I had no idea she felt that way, but I'm sure our relationship if we give it time can eventually grow much more so we can learn those little things about each other's and we can make new memories to share. I told her however the way she was acting to my sister was more than anything jeopardizing our relationship and I can't be in any relationship with someone who treats her that meanly, it's out of the question. I said she has to keep in mind that my sister does in fact have a very bad history of depression, and she still falls back into it from time to time. She may be more sensitive than most people and her emotions may be more delicate, but that's just something we have to take into consideration when around her. My girlfriend said she perfectly agreed and she will try to control herself and act much better around my sister, and give her a heartfelt apology. I told her I hope for both of us she was being honest and she really will turn around her behavior towards my sister. I said she was being really nice and friendly to her when she first came and if she can be like that again, it would be perfect. I went to talk to my sister, but she was absolutely in no mood to talk to my girlfriend. She was still upset from earlier, and did not want to hear another apology, she thought it would be meaningless. I told her that she really does feel terrible and she would like to make it up to her. My sister told me I have no idea how much my girlfriend hurt her with these words and by expecting her to forgive her just like that, I was really hurting her. I told her I understand that so much, and I apologize, and I am ready to give her all the time she needs. Even if she doesn't forgive her, I am okay with that and will accept that. My sister told me she wishes I'd never come back for her birthday and that I'd never brought my girlfriend with me. She said she was happier when she was just alone with our parents. Me stomping back into her life with my new GF just turned everything upside down for her, and on her birthday too. I told her I still have 2 weeks here, and if she really likes, I can send my girlfriend back on her own so I can spend the 2 weeks I have here just us. My sister said no, she didn't want me to do that to my girlfriend. I suggested we go to the beach again sometime. My sister said absolutely not. She swore she's never going to the beach again. I asked her why. And she just said because of my scars and burst out crying again. It was awful to see, just the mere mention of it set her off like that and made the tears flow out. I told her she had nothing to be ashamed of because of those scars, she went through a very difficult period and she's an amazing person and we're all proud of her. She just said I'm a freak, why did I even cut myself? I told her she doesn't need to try to hide them, anyone who would judge her for those scars isn't worth her time. Nevertheless she said she didn't want to ever be in a situation where someone could see her scars again. The next day I went shopping with my girlfriend, we were picking out some swim shorts for my sister. I thought maybe if she wore shorts instead of the bikini bottoms with her bikini, then she could hide the scars and she wouldn't have to be afraid of people seeing them. My girlfriend though it was a wonderful idea. We bought a variety of different pairs cause we didn't know which my sister would like, and we took them home and my sister was very happy with them. However, she is still feeling very upset, and still seems to harbor some dislike and anxiety towards my girlfriend because of the things she did. I've been considering asking my girlfriend to go back maybe so that I can spend my remaining 2 weeks at home with my family, since my sister seems less willing to do things if she's around, since she's still feeling extremely self-conscious about what she said. I'm worried if now every time she sees my girlfriend she'll remember those horrible comments and feel self-hatred over the scars again, which probably means I might not ever be able to have a relationship with my girlfriend. I really don't know what to do, so my question to you guys is, how best do you think I should handle this very complicated and delicate situation? Should I send my girlfriend back home or should I keep her here and try further to mend fences between them? Is there anything I can do to make them like each other more, or should I just accept the fact that there will always be a rift between them and try to keep them apart? How can I help my sister feel better in this situation where she's still feeling upset and like shit? Basically, what should I do and what do you think would be in the interests of everyone involved for me to do? TLDR, my girlfriend is coming to stay with my family for a few weeks while we celebrate my sister's birthday. She said some very insensitive things to my sister regarding the scars she had from when she had depression and self-harmed, driving my sister to feel extremely sad and self-conscious. She's apologized, but there's still a massive rift between them. How should I handle this situation to help my sister feel better and to mend the rift? Should I send my girlfriend back home and stay the remaining 2 weeks just me here, or should I keep her here? What should I do? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Yeah, I'd have dumped her at the first cruelty to your sister. She's jealous of your sister, boot her. Reply. Honestly, I was very close to breaking up with her over this, but when she displayed self-awareness at how horrible she was being and showed desire to completely change, I thought I'd give her one more chance. Do you think it might be best for everyone if I break up just now anyway though? Top comment. Commenter 2. I don't give a fuck if you cry, what are you gonna do, go cut yourself? My girlfriend got up and left and said make sure drama queen doesn't hang herself or slice her wrists open. This is the exact moment you should have ended the relationship. Update. Thanks for all the advice I got from you yesterday. You'll be happy to know that my girlfriend is now my ex-girlfriend, she's gone, it's over, I sent her home. I won't be seeing her again. First thing I did was apologize to my sister and tell her how sorry I was for having been a shit and useless brother. I should have been there for her, but I failed her by giving my girlfriend more chances even after how cruel she had been. I told her how ashamed I felt and how I had failed her as a brother, and I promised her I would never do that again. I swore to her that I'd never put her in a situation where someone can do that to her again. I made a promise and I really do mean it this time. She forgave me and told me how glad she had honestly really been hoping that I break up with her and send her home, but she didn't want to push me about it, and she reassured me that I am in fact a good brother, and I shouldn't be too hard on myself and call myself a shit brother. I told her it is honestly what I am because I failed her when I should have been there for her. I explained the entire situation to my parents and told them everything that had happened and how my girlfriend was no longer my girlfriend because of what she had done. We are now through. I explained to them that the remaining 2 weeks we can all spend together as a family and I am really looking forward to that. Both my parents supported me and told me I'd made the right decision. I told them I should have made it earlier and I failed my sister by waiting too long, but they forgave me thankfully and were understanding. Also, some people had mentioned the shorts I had bought. You are right, I was totally sending her the wrong message by getting her something she can wear that will cover up the scars. I told her those shorts I bought are just if she wanted to use them, but I don't think she needed them, and I don't think she should use them. I told her in my opinion she had nothing to be ashamed of from those scars. I think those scars are very beautiful and I think she is beautiful with them. She should be very proud of herself because she struggled through an immensely difficult period and overcame many hurdles throughout her life and she ended up on top of it all as a winner. I told her in my opinion she is a hero and she will always be my hero, the strongest and bravest person I've ever known. She was really happy to hear that and so were my parents. She said she's not feeling as bad about those scars as she was the previous days and she's ready to go to the beach again. TLDR, broke up with my girlfriend, she's gone, apologized to my sister and family for having been a shit brother, they forgave me and now I look forward to spending the remaining 2 weeks with them. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Good for you, it took you a little while, but you got there in the end. Doing the right thing isn't always immediately clear when you're in the thick of things, and emotion can cloud you. Even in your last post, you sound like a pretty good brother. Your sister trusts you, she leaned on you when she was hurting, and you've admitted your mistakes and seem sincere in your promises not to repeat them. I wish you and your family all the best moving forward. Reply. Thanks, I don't feel like a good brother though. I know she trusts me a lot, and that's why it stings so much when I feel like I failed her. It's like she puts this hope in me and imagines me to be a better brother than I really am. I just try to live up to be the best brother I can be, but sometimes I feel like she deserves a better brother than me who won't make these mistakes. Commenter 2. How did you go about sending your ex-girlfriend back? You kind of glossed over that and I just can't believe she didn't have some kind of terrible remark to say when that went down. Reply. I just told her that our relationship was over because of what she said and I can't tolerate someone attacking my sister. She was upset but she didn't really try to defend herself. I think she understood the gravity of her actions and felt some remorse and sensed that she had brought it on herself. I gave her money for the trip back. It's a small price to pay for my sister's happiness. At least we have 2 weeks still. Stories number 4. Aita for what happened on my family vacation. Last month, I, 30F, went on a family vacation that was planned by my brother Eric, 33M, and his wife Natalie, 31F. It was meant to be a chill week at a cabin by the lake with me, Eric, Natalie, our younger sister Jess, 26F, and our parents, 60s. From the start, Natalie was very particular about how the trip should go. She created a full itinerary, color-coded Google Docs, meal planning charts, even mandatory tech-free hours. Now, I get that people like structure, but this was less of a vacation and more like summer camp with a drill sergeant. Jess and I brought it up gently to Eric, saying maybe Natalie could tone it down a little, but he brushed us off and said she worked really hard on planning and that we should appreciate her effort. Okay, fine. Fast forward to day 2 of the trip. Natalie gets visibly upset because we missed the scheduled group kayaking time. We were literally sitting on the porch having wine and laughing with our dad. Later, she snapped at Jess for bringing a Bluetooth speaker because it ruined the ambience and glared at me for checking my phone. By day 4, Jess and I were over it. So we decided to accidentally sleep in through the morning hike and instead made a pancake breakfast with our mom. Natalie walked in, looked around, and just said, "Wow. So I guess the schedule doesn't matter anymore." Eric pulled me aside and said I needed to stop undermining his wife. At that point, I was tired of the passive aggressiveness, so I told him point blank that his wife was sucking the joy out of the trip. Jess backed me up. Eric got really defensive and said we were acting like entitled teenagers who couldn't handle a bit of structure. Natalie cried that night and ended up leaving early. Since then, neither of them has spoken to me or Jess, and our mom is now trying to play mediator. She said Natalie feels deeply disrespected and that we owe her an apology. But honestly, I think Natalie was being completely overbearing and treated us like kids at a retreat she was leading. Aita for not following the schedule and basically refusing to participate in Natalie's over-the-top vacation plans. Stories number 5. My boyfriend gave his mother the dress I wanted for my birthday. I, 23, female, have been dating my boyfriend, 26, male for the past 3 years. About 2 months ago while we were out shopping I saw this really gorgeous amazing dress that was just perfect for me, and in my favorite color. He looked at the dress and said it was beautiful, but it was rather expensive, $200, so we didn't end up getting it. For weeks after this I would constantly talk about the dress to him and how I couldn't stop thinking about how beautiful it was and hope one day I could save to buy it since we've been budgeting a bit lately. He would hear about this dress from me all the time and talked about how great he thought it would look on me. So yesterday was my birthday and we had a little get-together with some members of both of our families to celebrate, except when his mother arrived to our house she was wearing the exact dress in the exact color. I was stunned. I thought that he must have told her about it and she went and got one, but it turns out that wasn't the case. In my surprise I said, "OMG, there's no way. That's the same dress I was looking and dying for months," and she replied saying, "Oh really? Zane, my boyfriend, gave it to me as a gift last month." I was shocked and confused. Even more so when boyfriend gave me the birthday gift he got me, and it was a gift card for Sephora for $50. For the rest of the night I sat quietly in a corner in silence and confusion. I felt hurt, and was lost in my head as to what was going on. My boyfriend and everyone was blissfully unaware and happy the entire night and I didn't want to ruin the mood, so I started to try to put on a good face, but I can't shake this feeling of being hurt. A part of me feels like I am overreacting and acting spoiled and entitled. Am I? Just need to know if I need to calm down and not be upset about this. Update. I finally got the nerve to straight up ask him about everything, and his response TLDR was he thought I had to be humbled a bit because I got way too overly excited about something as trivial as a dress. He thought it would be fun to see my reaction to it all. His mother had no idea about any of this and just thought her son was giving her a gift. I am so upset and hurt that I just called my mom to come get me and will be staying with her for a few days while I figure out the next steps, but I am not going back to him. Stories number 6. My mom said my wedding was just okay at my twins' wedding, and she still doesn't know she's no longer welcome in our home. I, 27F, got married in October 2024 to my now husband, 28M, a military reservist. We had a small mountain wedding after surviving a long deployment, and it was everything we hoped for. Leading up to it, my mom, 61F, emotionally blew up on us, crying, saying we didn't include her, and even told my husband he ruined our relationship. She apologized to me, but never to him like she promised. Still, we let her come. She even brought her sister, not invited, and I didn't have the energy to say no. Fast forward to my twin sister's destination wedding this spring, I was the maid of honor. My mom was drinking, and at the rehearsal dinner, she told my sister, in front of my husband, their wedding was okay, but this is beautiful. He didn't tell me until later that night because he didn't want to ruin the day. That comment crushed him. When we got home, we made the hard decision: she's no longer welcome to stay in our home. That was in April. It's now July. She has no idea. Since then, we've only had vague phone calls, and now she's saying she wants to come visit to change up her scenery. She can't drive anymore, so if she visits, she'd be fully dependent on us to get around and would definitely expect to stay with us. I'm frozen. I don't know how to say, you can come to dinner, but you're not staying here. I feel like I've been protecting everyone else's feelings for years while mine get ignored. I love her, but I'm drained. Has anyone ever had to say something like this to a parent? How do you set this kind of boundary without feeling like a terrible daughter? Stories number 7. I, 30F, just found out that the man I'm seeing, 28M, might have herpes. For some context, I got out of a 5-year abusive relationship last year. A few months ago, I decided to put myself out there again. I haven't been looking for anything serious or special, just testing the waters and having fun. I also don't fall for people get attached easily, which hasn't bothered me in the past. Completely out of the blue, I met Jim, and to say we clicked right away is an understatement. I've never felt better about myself or more connected to another person romantically. It's been wonderfully surreal. It's clear we have a future, and even though I'm taking it day by day, I'm letting myself actually enjoy this and be excited. Last night we were taking a walk and I could tell something was gnawing at him. He ended up bringing up that a woman he was seeing right before we met had contacted him a few days ago and told him that she had contracted herpes. He mentioned that he wore a condom every time they had sex and that he got tested, but that he wouldn't get the results until later this week. I just told him that whatever the results, we would figure it out together. We haven't slept together yet, both of us want to take it slow because this means something, but now I don't know what to think. I really want to continue this, but I don't want to potentially expose myself to herpes. I really don't. Obviously I have my hands tied until the results come in, but I was hoping that you might have some advice moving forward, particularly people who either live with an STD or are partnered with someone who does. Only you feel comfortable sharing. TL, doctor, I've been seeing someone I'm crazy about who has been exposed to herpes. We haven't had sex yet. Comments. Commenter 1. Here are my suggestions. Educate yourself on herpes, how common it is, what it is like, how to be safe, how likely you might contract it, etc. Herpes is not a death sentence. It's unfortunate and I hope he hasn't contracted it, but it is not the end of the world. Herpes can be managed, and if you are very careful, your chances of contracting it will go down. For example, always condoms. He needs to pay attention to when he has an outbreak, when he would be shedding the virus, etc., and at those times, no PIV sex. If he is positive, ask if you can go with him when he talks to his doc, so you can ask questions, together, and get answers from a medical professional. Good luck OP. It'll be okay. Commenter 2. Well, I applaud Jim for being honest. Do you know how many people out there would lie about this and you'd find out the hard way? Too damn many. Had to tell a patient once that, if they didn't sleep with anyone else and they've developed herpes, their partner got it from someone else and gave it to them. Tough day for that patient. Please give him credit for that. Clearly he cares enough about you and is a stand-up enough guy to put something like that out there. That said, if he's developed lesions, the herpetic rash, already, well, he probably has herpes. As a physician I rarely test for herpes. It's a visual inspection during physical exam and then treat. Do the lesions go away with acyclovir, antiviral med? Welp, herpes. Rarely I will swab a lesion, and only if it looks odd. People don't always present like how the textbooks say. Back in the day testing through viral culture only had a 50% sensitivity, in other words absolute shit. Even if you had herpes and you swabbed the lesion, theirs was a 50% chance you'd still test negative. Nowadays we can do DNA, PCR, or antibody testing, however these are only accurate when swabbing an active lesion. Screening tests via blood are not reliable nor accurate, and they can't yet differentiate between oral and genital forms of HSV-1. That said, while on daily medication and using condoms you can really drop the rate of transmission down to like 1 to 2%. My questions for you to think about. Do you want to have sex without condoms? Are you willing to risk getting herpes? What if the relationship goes bad? Are you willing to walk around with herpes and have that roadblock with finding another partner? Reply, I appreciate your insight, and I give both Jim and the person who he was exposed to a ton of credit for disclosing that information. It's uncomfortable, it's alienating, and it's incredibly vulnerable. I think it's too soon to answer several of your questions, but these are the types of questions I'm certainly thinking about. Update. Hi everyone. I posted this about 4 years ago, and though not many people saw it, I thought I would update. So a few days after that date, Jim called me up and told me that he got his test results back and that they were negative. I was incredibly relieved, and he said that he really appreciated my reaction when he told me. I told him how much I appreciated his transparency. It hit home especially after my previous relationship, which was filled with lies and making me question my own sanity when I was clear about the timeline of events, legitimate gaslighting. I felt like Jim's character lined up with the person I had been talking to. We met on a dating app and talked for a couple of weeks before our first date. Fast forward to the present day, and we have been happily together for about 4 years and living together for 2 years with my dogs. We're getting married in a few months. This has been the easiest, calmest, and most loving relationship I have ever been in, and we both make the other better every day. I never thought I would say this given my past, but if something feels right, I encourage you to give it a shot. Edit. Y'all, read the post. He didn't have herpes, I don't have herpes, I got tested, this was years ago. Comments. Commenter 1. Even if he did have herpes, it's incredibly easy to manage, and it isn't that big of a deal because statistically, most adults worldwide have some sort of the herpes virus. Treating it as some sort of terrifying concept is most people's knee-jerk reaction, but it is by far the easiest STD to manage and live normal lifestyles while having it. Had he had herpes, you should have navigated it by educating yourself on how to prevent transmission of the virus to yourself, taken a good hard look at yourself and your priorities and your assumptions, and then done what you could to reduce the stigma surrounding this incredibly common disease. Reply, no, I know. I wouldn't have left him. I learned a lot from the comments in my first post and felt a lot better about navigating the situation moving forward if he had been positive. I really appreciate you, though, smiley face. Commenter 2. Why is there hope on my pain and misery sub? Commenter 3. Yeah, let's get back to the norm here and recommend someone break up with their partner who breathed wrong for a moment. What's wrong with your relationship? Doesn't matter. Break up with them. There's no salvaging anything, there's no compromising, there's no sacrificing or meeting halfway. Everybody should break up with everybody. By the way, we never need another post or comment on this sub, my comment here covers all of the bases. Stories number 8. My wife cheated on me and I feel nothing. My wife of 10 years cheated on me with someone from her past. I didn't go looking for it, but I accidentally found out. He cut it off since his wife is pregnant, and from the looks of the messages she seems upset. What's so odd is I feel nothing. Not sad or angry, not even hurt. I feel relieved. We haven't been doing good for a while. I attempted to take my life 2 years ago and it just hasn't been the same since. I never thought she would cheat on me. I tried to be better for myself and for her and get myself out of that dark place, but I guess it wasn't enough. I'm not gonna confront her, but I am gonna leave. Not tonight or tomorrow. I am going to tell her I don't love her anymore. Maybe having both men she loves tell her they're done will humble her. There's no apologies to be given from her. She did what she did and I'm at peace with it. Anyway, I'm gonna build a Lego set and have a beer. Remember, you are worth it. You are great. Comments. Commenter 1. Prior to disclosing your intention of leaving your wife, I humbly suggest that you privately confer with a seasoned family law attorney to discuss your entitlements and alternatives regarding divorce. Educate yourself regarding the divorce process. Focus on yourself and your well-being. Best wishes to you. Stay well. Update. Hello, almost a month ago I posted on here that I found out my wife had cheated and I felt nothing. I thought I would give an update. I confronted her. I said I know she has been sleeping with someone behind my back, I do not want an apology and we're over. I didn't want an explanation or an excuse because there is none. She chose to betray me, she chose to go against our vows and what I believed our marriage stood for. She didn't say much but cry and apologize, but I wouldn't hear it. I also found out who the wife of her AP is and I told her as well and showed the messages pictures I found. Needless to say, she is heartbroken and this wasn't the first time he had cheated on her. I ended up leaving and getting an apartment. I took some time off work, built a gaming PC and filed the divorce papers. I still don't feel much in the negative sense, but I do feel peace. She has been trying to get me to work things out and I ignore her. That chapter of my life was over the moment she began her affair. Crazy how you think you have everything and life is perfect and now you're sitting alone in your apartment eating takeout and drinking a beer. I think I'm okay with this though. Comments. Commenter 1. This is literally the blueprint on how to handle a cheating partner. Big ups to OP. I know it won't feel like a win and it's not. Everybody has lost something. But he now has peace of mind and heart. Reply, thank you. I hate drama. I felt like for the sake of myself I needed to exit as smoothly as possible. Commenter 2. Kudos to you, OP. It's been repeatedly said that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. In your instance, when you learned of her repeatedly cheating, you became indifferent. When you see her now, you see nothing. She is now nothing to you. This indifference should be helpful to you emotionally and psychologically going forward. However, if you at some point begin to sense self-doubt, anger, or other bothersome feelings, don't hesitate to seek therapy. You've experienced a traumatic thing. Be kind to yourself. Protect and focus on yourself. Block the whore from your life. One less thing to deal with. Reply, thank you for your kind words. I'm sure at some point I will feel some hurt pain. I did love her after all. A part of me probably still does, but I am in therapy and we are discussing it. Commenter 3. This is it, my friend. She wants to be with someone else. Go on and go. I wouldn't fight for that shit either. Reply, what the funny thing is her AP broke up with her so now she has no one. Stories number 9. I think my wife's best friend is developing feelings for me and my wife doesn't want to believe me because it's her best friend. Okay, yes, I'm aware I'm going to sound arrogant and like a narcissist, get over it. My wife and I have known each other in total 20-ish years, we have dated for 9, married for 5. She has known her best friend, D, since end of high school early college. They are like sisters. D has horrible luck with guys, abusive relationships, toxic relationships, she's had it all and some. I know this because she vents about it to my wife and me all the time. Recently she just got through a particular rough relationship, which she decided she was no longer going to date and just be single for a while. She began making comments to my wife about how lucky she is that she has me and it must make her feel so good to have a supporting, caring, loving man in her life to take care of her. This is when her changed behavior began. She has been very clingy to me, she never was before. When she comes over, head on my shoulder, sitting on my lap, she tells me all the time that I make her feel safe and comfortable. She always asks how my day is going and if I'm happy to see her, or how I think her body looks in her outfit, which she kinda did before but now she draws attention to her feminine areas. A joke was made, by my wife, about D being my second wife to do all the stuff my wife doesn't feel like doing. D jumped onto this and now refers too often enough as second wife. My wife thinks it's funny and it was until D sent me a picture of a ring she wanted because even your second wife needs a ring. I have brought all this up to my wife because I don't want to keep her in the dark about anything. And she just says things like yeah that's just her or she doesn't mean anything by it. My fear is that D is getting what she's never gotten from any of her past relationships, comfort, validation, safety, and that she will become attached to this sort of fantasy. I don't want my wife to think I'm doing anything behind her back. But as I have stated she just brushes it all off. Am I just being too observant or is there something there my wife isn't seeing? Thoughts, comments. Commenter 1. Just have 2 wives problem solved. LOL. Commenter 2. As a female with a lot of guy friends, there is a huge difference in confiding with someone and then sitting in someone's lap. That to me, seems like there's more to it. I chat with your wife and see where she stands with it. Reply, she brushes it all off. I have brought up everything that has happened, left nothing out. Commenter 3. You're also allowed to have boundaries. Just because she's okay with it and even if your wife is, doesn't mean you are and that deserves to be respected. I find it odd she doesn't see anything weird about it. Females are hyper aware of what they're doing. Reply, are you suggesting that my wife may see something there and not care? Update. Sitting in my lap, this has only happened twice. Both instances were at parties where there was no seating left where I was sitting. I actually offered her my seat which she said thanks and sat on my lap. Yes, both times were in front of my wife and she thought it was funny, so rather than make a scene by kicking her off I waiting till an opportunity came, needed more food, drink, bathroom etc. Is she hot? Am I attracted to her? By society standards she would be very attractive, by society standards my wife would not be as attractive. That being said, my wife is exactly what I want in a woman. Just speaking physically ATM, my wife is short, very pale skin, long curly brown hair, and not skinny because of the children we have had together. I love my wife the way she is and we are working together to help her lose the baby fat she wants to lose. D on the other hand is taller than me. I'm 5 feet 10 inches, tan skin, straight dirty blonde hair, and skinny. Again attractive, just not what I'm into. Okay, now for the update. Talk to my wife about everything going on and my concerns about it, using some points people brought up in comments. Turns out my wife is aware of the situation and is actually partially behind it. Apparently she brought up the idea of using me to show her best friend what to look for in a guy was a good idea, but has gone a little farther than she thought it would. Forgive her, she had good intentions. So we are both going to sit down with D and talk about everything next time she comes over. Comments. Commenter 1. I think you all should just get naked and trust each other. Commenter 2. Your wife is the weird one here. Update. Firstly, thank you everyone for your good advice. This will be the last update to this crazy series of events. Now let's get to what you're all waiting for, the update. D came over, we all sat down at the table, the kids are at their aunt's for the night. I stated that I wanted everything to come out, all the cards on the table. I want to know everything. So this is what went down. D has always had awful luck with men. She vents to me and my wife about it all the time. During a conversation when I wasn't present, D had said something along the lines of wishing she could find a man like yours, because she will never know what it feels like to be genuinely wanted and appreciated. My wife made a bad decision and in trying to comfort her friend suggested treating me more like a BF than just a good friend, nothing physical, just the support and comfort and validation for a little to get an idea of what to look for in a man. D said she was fine with that, but when she started to get it from me she wanted more and more and started to cross boundaries to get it, the lap sitting, that kinda stuff. I asked my wife about it and she said it caught her by surprise but didn't exactly make her uncomfortable with her friend. It was actually the mentioning of D wanting a ring that she finally started to see that this was getting out of control. Wife said she realized she messed up but didn't want to say anything to me about it. I explained to both of them very thoroughly about how ridiculous this entire thing is, how there are better ways we all could have helped, how this could have destroyed friendships and marriages. They should have come to me and we all could have figured out ways to help each other together. There were apologies from both parties. D is still our friend and she will be coming over in a few days for us to discuss how she can potentially work on herself and things to look for in men she has an interest in dating. My wife is very sorry to D and me about the entire thing. So in the end, my wife made a mistake that she is remorseful for, learn from and will come out better for it. D will have help working on herself, and working towards a healthier future. And then there's me, tired and I want a beer lol. Thank you again everyone for your good words and advices. I'm sorry if this isn't the outcome you hoped thought predicted, but life is unpredictable and I'm glad this is over. Oh, and there will be no threesome. Comments. Commenter 1. Oh, and there will be no threesome. Not with that attitude, there won't. Commenter 2. Many are saying he fumbled the three-way. Honestly, I think OP is a solid dude and he handled it awesomely. Not everything on the internet is a plot of a porno. Commenter 3. Sorry, but your wife owes you a lot more than an apology. If the genders were reversed in this, so many people would be telling you to call the police and get a divorce lawyer etc. because it would have been a wife who'd been harassed and physically molested by her husband's friend despite her clearly not wanting him to do it. But because your wife and her friend are women, nobody is pointing out how serious this is to you. And in that scenario everyone would be questioning why the husband would want to be friends with a man who sexually harasses his mate's wives. But again, nobody's saying this to you, and you seem to think it's okay for your wife to continue her friendship with this woman, and frankly it isn't. Your wife not only allowed, but encouraged, someone to sexually harass and molest you. Unwanted physical contact. Yup. Sitting on your lap, leaning on your shoulder, feeling you up. Unwanted text messages. Yup. Texting pictures of rings and shit. Unwanted comments. Yup. Wish I had a man like you. And I assume the feminine areas mentioned were her tits and ass, so I assume the questions she was asking were along the lines of does this show too much cleavage and does this make my ass look good and how big do my boobs look in this top etc. Also, no sane person would agree to treat someone, never mind their friend's spouse, like a partner in any sense. Much less without discussing it with said spouse first. But because they're women they think it's harmless and no harm, no foul. This wasn't a mistake, or an error in judgment. Nobody is this stupid. Commenter 4. No way in hell am I offering up my man as some pacifier to another woman. What was the wife thinking? Stories number 10. Aita for telling my sister-in-law that she's a bitter jealous person after she insulted my clothes at a family dinner. I have always had a weird relationship with my SIL. She's 16 years older than me, my brother is 15 years older than me, so naturally there's an age gap. My sister and I have always voiced our comments about her in the way that we don't always agree with the things she says or does, but I always said, it's my brother's life and his wife, and if that's how he's happy, I don't care. But this afternoon, my parents had a barbecue since my sister and family are visiting from out of state. My SIL has always made snide underhanded comments towards me about my childless lifestyle, how I'm a cat lady, in a negative tone, but I love my cat, so being a cat person is not an insult to me. She thinks being a millennial we're all selfish and don't want kids and etc. Today was my breaking point because I come in and I'm wearing pink barrel jeans and a sage-colored shirt. I spent the majority of my teenage and early 20s at war with my body, and now that I'm 31 and into fitness and a gym person, I feel comfortable and I like exploring with clothes and stuff that I didn't allow myself in. She said, laughing, that my outfit was trying to look young and that I'm older and I should be dressing more mature, and how I spend my money on silly things like Legos, books, other nerdy things, and I said just because I'm older doesn't mean the things I like suddenly go away. And she said that at some point I had to grow up and that I wouldn't understand since I'm not a real adult and not a mom, and how I'm still single. I got up and told her, you're an adult but you're bitter and miserable. Your only friends are your kids. You brag about traveling but you're in massive credit card debt, but I don't tell you how to live your life. Why are you up in mine? She got mad and told my brother they were leaving. My sister said, well, she started it. But my parents think I should have kept it to myself and ignored her. I do think it wasn't the time and place to have that, but she kept poking and I snapped. My mom said I should apologize to keep the peace, but my sister says it's about time someone told her so. I don't know where to go from here. I don't regret what I said, but I do feel bad that everyone saw it happen. Stories number 11. AITH for giving my wife an ultimatum on her male best friend due to what he did before our wedding years ago. My wife and I have been married for about 5 years. And something I learned from her male friend's GF was that he confessed his love to my wife the night before. She told me they got into a fight about this, and figured I should know. So I confronted my wife about this, and she admitted it. I yelled at her and asked how the fuck she could keep this from me and how the fuck she thought it was appropriate to have him at our wedding. She told me she didn't want to ruin our wedding day, and I told she's not fuck stupid enough to not know I'd want to know this. See, this male friend always made me uneasy from the start. She told me that she has no feelings for him. After this, if I trust her. I told her that if she even wants me to consider staying with her, she needs to cut off her friend. Aita has no consensus bot. OOP received mixed reactions. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I don't think that will actually be enough if you're this mad about it, is the thing. You're gonna need a lot more than an ultimatum if you actually want to stay married. Reply, this would be at least a start. Downvoted commenter, YTA, not so much for the ultimatum than for the concept of not trusting your wife at all. If you don't trust her even after 5 years of marriage, you never will. Reply, she lied to me. She know fully well that this is something I'd want to know. Of course I'm not trusting her right now. Commenter 2, he confessed it to her and she shut him down. So your response is to scream at her years later for not cheating? YTA, reply, cause she hid this from me. This fucker literally wanted her to cancel out wedding so she would be with him, and they showed up like nothing happened and my wife knew. Of course I'm pissed. Downvoted commenter 2, see, that's the thing about trust, you either trust somebody or you don't. She lied, and you're mad about it, fair enough. You want yo give ultimatums, arguably alright. But not trusting your own wife of 5 years over this just shows that this person or this incident isn't the actual problem. You'll have bigger issues to sort out. Imo. Reply, my trust is shaken. You really think I can just trust her like nothing happened? Downvoted commenter 3, she didn't stop the wedding. You won. She married you. Why would she ruin the wedding over someone else's feelings that she didn't share? And why are you so upset about it 5 years later? Come on. Move on. Reply, cause she still hangs with this guy at least once a week. Downvoted commenter 3, he has a girlfriend. He's moved on. He's obviously not pining away for her. I understand you would be upset, but considering it was 5 years ago and she's still with you, not with him, it sounds like everyone has moved on, as adults do. Reply, ex-girlfriend. She literally told me they had a fight over this because he's still obsessed with my wife. Anyway, OOP and his wife can work on their marriage. Reply, counseling. I'm not opposed to counseling, but I'm not gonna waste my time if she doesn't even do this. Commenter 3, NTA at all. Trust has to be there. Even with strong trust, though, there has to be honest and a clear, transparent approach to protecting your relationship. You shouldn't have to tell her to cut him off, but if she refuses, you stand tall and follow your ultimatum. Also, you make it clear this means no messages, no social media, no meetups, no parties where this guy will be. Total no contact forever. Clearly he valued his girlfriend enough to tell her, but your wife didn't do the same for you. Now I would be wondering if they ever did anything before you came along, FWB or something that you haven't been told. Also, let his girlfriend know that if she is staying with him, you want to know if she becomes aware of any communication between them at all, because you have put some boundaries in place, and you will tell her the same if you see something. Reply, that's what's funny. According to the girlfriend, she had to drag it out of him because she was uncomfortable with how he acted around my wife. Update: we are currently separated, and I am in the process of divorcing my wife. Honestly, her hesitation of making a choice was too much for me. Just the fact that she needed so long to cut this guy out after he crossed the line, and that she has so much trouble making it right for me, speaks volumes to me. When I told her this, and that I was leaving her, she tried to convince me and say she will cut him off. I told her it was too late at that point. I told her I don't trust her. I don't want to be with her. I don't want to deal with her again. I've been staying with a friend right now. One thing I wanted to address about my last post that kept coming up. Some of you said he's over her. He has a GF, and I gotta say, you must be actually brain dead or can't read. His ex-girlfriend literally told me they got in a fight about this because he wasn't over my wife. That's literally why I found out. 'Cause his ex told me about it. His girlfriend was another person caught up in this shit. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA, I gotta ask. Are you going to date his ex at all? Reply, dating is the last thing in my mind right now. I did thank her for telling me. Commenter 2, did your STBXW try to keep you? Or she just let you go with the divorce? Reply, she tried. She said she was sorry, and she is willing to cut him off. Downvoted commenter, she needs to be free, because you don't trust her for shit, even though she's never done anything wrong, you're punishing her for him. And also, he's a piece of shit. She's surrounded by not good dudes. She clearly has horrible taste. But maybe with some time, space and therapy the next one will do right. Reply, she hangs out with the dude who tried to ruin our wedding and never told me. Who the fuck would trust someone like that? OOP needs to cut his wife off while dealing with the divorce. Reply, as much as I'd like to leave her behind, there are monetary assets and legal issues we need to deal with. So sadly, I can't completely cut her off just yet. Commenter 3, honestly, her hesitation of making a choice was too much for me. Wow, I get it. WTF was there to hesitate about? Hope you're doing okay, this is a lot. Stories number 12. Aita, for putting a stop to my 12 years old daughter's period party. Let me set the stage. My wife and I, 43M, 42F, have 2 daughters, 7 years apart. 19 years old was at college in a different state when this happened. Girls are very different. 19 years old is outgoing, even extroverted, loves meeting new people, trying new things, etc. 12 years old is shy, a homebody, finds things she's comfortable with and sticks with them. In fairness, 19 years old was kinda like this until she was 16 or so, maybe it's genetic XD. Couple months ago, 12 years old comes to me in my home office, obviously upset. Stammers a bit, then manages to tell me that she just got her first period. I play the supportive dad, comfort her, and get her a box of sanitary pads my wife had bought earlier in the year, guessing this was going to happen sooner or later, and go over the instructions with her. She goes into her bathroom, does what she has to do, thanks me for my help. I got her some ice cream and Midol, told her there was nothing to be embarrassed about and she could always come to me for anything. Wife gets home later that day, 12 years old, tells her what happened. Wife starts crying, my little girl is growing up, etc., then asks who should be invited to the period party, which I only knew of from listening to Bert Kreischer, if they were a thing when our 19 years old started. She never asked for one. 12 years old immediately closes off, says she doesn't want a PP, doesn't want anyone to know. Wife tries to talk to her some more, but 12 years old ignores her and goes to her room. Wife tries to enlist my aid in changing her mind, but I tell her she said she didn't want one, don't worry about it. 2 days later, I get home from running errands, and before I can even make it to the stairs, 12 years old runs up to me and asks if she can do her homework in my office. I'm confused, but say sure, and she bolts upstairs. At this point, I started to suspect what was going on, and walked into the living room to find that my wife had not only decorated it like something which wouldn't have looked out of place on my super sweet 16, but there were several family friends, all women, and a few I recognize as neighborhood mothers. I beckon wife into the hall, she asks where 12 years old is, and I tell her she wanted to do homework in my office. She rolls her eyes and starts to move past me, but I step in front of her. Me, what are you doing? Wife, going to get 12 years old, it's her party. Me, she told you specifically she didn't want one of these. Wife, oh, she didn't mean that. This is an important time for a girl, she needs to know not to be ashamed of her body. Me, she's not, I already explained things to her, she just doesn't want to talk about it more. Wife, I don't expect you to understand, this is just for us women. She actually tried to push past me, but I stepped into the doorway and completely blocked her. Wife, what's wrong with you? Me, what's wrong with you? You know how shy 12 years old is, you knew she didn't want you doing something like this, and you did it anyway. Wife, I told you, it's for her own good. We can't let her grow up with a negative attitude toward something so natural. Me, and we're not, I told you, she knows what's going on, she's getting a handle on it, she just doesn't want to talk about it with anyone else for right now. Wife, well, it wasn't your business to tell her about it anyway. Me, you were at work. Was I supposed to ignore her for 4 hours until you got home? Wife, you could have called me, I would have come home. Me, it still would have taken you an hour. She was upset, I knew what was going on, I talked her through it. Wife, you don't know anything about it, it's never happened to you. At this point I gave up. Point to my wife, no, I've never had a period, but I had 3 older sisters and a live-in girlfriend before my wife and I met, plus we've been married almost 21 years. I'm pretty well versed. She again tries to move past me, but I don't move. Me, number 12 years old doesn't want this, I'm not letting you make her do it. Wife, fine, have it your way. She goes back to the living room and tells the other ladies the PP is off because I'm being a jackass. I lose it, follow her in, and let the women know, calmly but in no uncertain terms, that I appreciate what they wanted to do, but 12 years old made it explicitly clear that she did not want this party and my wife is trying to pressure her into it. Several of the moms frown at her, my wife starts to backpedal, talking about how she didn't think 12 years old was being serious, but I ignore her and begin taking down the decorations. Everyone clears out shortly, and once the coast is clear, 12 years old comes back downstairs. My wife gives her a half-assed, apology, again saying she didn't think 12 years old was serious, but 12 years old also ignores her and just starts doing her homework in her usual place at the table. My wife was pissed at me for a week, claiming I undermined her authority as a parent, apparently, by not helping her force our daughter into doing something she didn't want to do, and made her look back in front of the neighborhood moms, by telling them she'd been doing this against our daughter's wishes. Stories number 13. My 31F husband, 41M, makes mean jokes and I want to help him stop before we have children. I, 31F, have been with my husband, 40SM, for 10 years, now married. I always knew I wanted to have kids only after I was married, and now that we finally are I've allowed myself to start thinking more in depth about it and I had an inconvenient realization. I could not bring a child into this situation without seeing change in his behavior. While he has this one bad habit, our relationship is not inherently verbally abusive, so I'm having trouble finding resources and stories from others who have been in similar situations. The good, he is a great provider, he would be a very fun dad, he is very generous and supportive. I love him, he loves me. The bad, he makes jokes that are hurtful and make me feel a fundamental lack of respect. I'm fine, but when I imagine me as a child growing up with a father like him, I just can't even fathom how broken I would be. I know I need to address this before having kids. We have had conversations about this in the past and it's just who he is, not aimed only at me, and I am a very sensitive person. The problem, how can I have a conversation about this with him? I'm not perfect, so why is it okay for me to point out his flaws? Is there a playbook here, a guide? I just can't stand feeling like I'm issuing an ultimatum or holding him hostage. And I feel so awful that I didn't have the insight or personal awareness to address this before we got married. I'm struggling to frame this in a way that is supportive, us as a team against this issue instead of me attacking him. How do I address this? TLDR, husband has a habit of joking in a way that I've just realized would be hurtful to a child. I want to help him change this behavior before having kids but don't know how to have that conversation. ETA, thanks for the help and concern, all. I don't know what this means for me and it's a lot to process, but I really appreciate so many people sharing their thoughts with me. Not trying for kids, not off birth control, he barely touches me anyways. Under no circumstances would I bring a child into this situation currently. Relevant comments from Oop. In response to a request for examples of the jokes. I'm having trouble finding examples because they just really aren't jokes, he only calls them that because he thinks they're funny. You're eating like a fat girl, just joking, and he didn't call me fat so I can't justify getting upset. Laughing when I ask how I look in a new top, it was funny because I had bad posture when I asked him, he wasn't laughing at me, just the situation of me trying to be cute but asking with poor posture and in an unconfident tone, "You're going to tear the house down?" Context was I'm opening a cabinet and he wanted to point out with a funny comment joke that I was being too heavy-handed. It was after I had spent days cleaning the house for his mother to visit and I was very stressed. It upset me because I felt like I couldn't do a single thing without criticism. I cried and he got upset that I reacted in that way, in response to someone telling OOP she didn't have to continue to put up with cruel comments, and that her not saying anything in the past was not an excuse for her husband to continue. I mean, it kind of is though, isn't it? If I didn't do a good enough job of identifying it as an issue and putting a stop to it when it first started happening, what right do I have to demand change now that we're married? It feels like a bait and switch. I hate the idea of being a demanding wife. I just want to figure out how to help him see it as an issue so we can both work together to change our behaviors into something that would be a supportive, loving environment for kids to grow up in. I feel like I haven't done my part either. I need to own that. It just isn't who I am and he loves me for that. I'm not demanding or high maintenance. I think it's less about advocating for myself and more just, it feels unfair for me to ask for this. Nothing has changed since we got married. The only thing that changed was my perception of something that has been a constant in our relationship. It feels like an unfair demand. I just want to make it an us against this issue instead of a me against you or you must do XYZ before ABC. That feels low. We're a team. I just want to make sure I'm communicating it in the right way, but I still want to be the cool, strong, supportive wife. I just feel like I messed up here. If this was truly a big issue I wouldn't have married him. I did. We're here now, and even though I didn't see it at first I do now. I want to help us both be the best we can be. I'm here and I need to help us both work through this or learn to live with it like I have been. I want kids, but if this can't be the right environment for them then it's not meant to be. ETA, fuck, I just don't know anymore. Can't believe I wrote that kids could be out of the picture. I'm really struggling to understand all of this. Thanks for your kind words, smiley face. Update 1, okay, so he's verbally abusive. What now? I, 31F, have been with my husband, 43M, for 10 years, married 6 months. Posted on an advice sub and I'm realizing it's a bigger issue than I thought. So, what now? I'm having a really hard time digesting all of this. I read why does he do that? Yesterday, couldn't put it down, and while I see some things that my partner does, it's not many and it's honestly not often. It really boils down to making mean jokes and unsolicited advice critiques. That's all. And not all the time. I've been thinking it over for 3 days and he hasn't said anything bad in that time. When he does it just sticks out in my mind because it's hurtful. Here is what I think need help understanding. Is it possible that this isn't intentional? He learned his behaviors from his mother and has low emotional intelligence. I know that he truly loves me. I can't understand how he could do this on purpose. How is he such a truly great, supportive, kind partner in other ways? Does that outweigh his faults? He is such a great provider, he is supportive of my career and pays all of our expenses which allows me to work doing what I love. This is a big sacrifice for him and something he did very intentionally for me. How could someone do that to someone they want to hurt? What if it really truly is me? I am sensitive and insecure. I do make things that are benign about me when I'm feeling down. I know these things are true. Couldn't it be a combination of an awful outdated unfunny sense of humor and me being hypersensitive to criticism? I think we both share fault here. Relevant comments from Oop. In response to someone saying OOP shouldn't have to walk on eggshells around her husband. Oh geez. I offhandedly said that to him just the other day, that I walk on eggshells around him, more related to other issues than the one here, but still, and he flipped it around completely on me. Said that it's the opposite and he has to do that for me because of my unpredictable emotional response to things and that I ruin the mood all the time. In response to someone asking about whether she and her husband still have a physical relationship, he barely touches me anyway stood out to me. Why doesn't he? What's going on? Ha! That's a whole other can of worms. Wish I knew. He's just not interested in me sexually. It was normal at first, less frequent over time, and somewhere in the first few years the jabs started, poking fun at things I say or do in bed, how I move, what I'm wearing, what I want. He really made me think it was me. But I'm not unattractive, I know that. Just for some reason nothing about me is quite good enough for him. Why did he even marry me if I'm such a disappointment? Anyway, I got on birth control early on and it killed my sex drive so I don't feel as rejected all the time. that helps. Commenter, I think maybe you need to ask yourself some questions. Like, are you happy with this person? Is it worth having them around? Does the bad outweigh the good, or is it the other way around? Reply, parts of both. I love him. I don't feel like I can justify leaving him. Unfunny jokes, infrequent sex. I don't know, it doesn't feel like enough. I'm just beating myself up for not realizing this until now. In response to a comment encouraging her to analyze her husband's behavior for signs of intentional manipulation, I'm trying to do the same thing. It all came into focus the other day. He said he was scared I would find someone better and leave him. That second thing started to make sense. I don't want to admit it because it's so painful, but I think he does do it at least partially on purpose. It worked so well too. I believed everything he said for so long. Update 2, okay. I talked to my therapist, who I was seeing because husband had me believing I had emotional regulation and communication problems, came armed with research and concrete examples of his manipulative, controlling and demeaning patterns. She was supportive but firm, recommended I reach out to my local DV organization to help me work out a safe exit plan and get legal aid regarding the divorce. She said sooner rather than later. And I trust her. But, I am stunned. I feel like my whole entire world is upside down. I keep flipping back and forth between thank God other people can see this too, I'm not crazy and it is that bad and he's my best friend, I'm heartbroken and he's the only one there for me, he needs me and I could never leave him. I know I should leave but I don't know what to do. I just want to talk to him and work it out and this will all just be one big misunderstanding, right? I'm heartbroken. I can't have kids here, but if I leave I'll be alone and also probably won't have kids. And I'll be broken and ashamed. All those conversations. He's going to want me back or want an explanation. I really think that's what I'm hung up on the most. He has so little emotional awareness that I know he won't have any idea what I'm talking about. I know he'll think I'm crazy. I want him to know what he's done but he's not going to. He might not ever understand. We're so happy so much of the time, I don't know if I can do this. Anyways, hi, worst update. But you all were right. For anyone in a similar situation, Lundy Bancroft's "Why does he do that?" was very eye-opening and described him in ways I couldn't articulate on my own. He fits the profile of the water torturer perfectly. Additionally, very helpful these past few days, the hotline, looks like I can't link, but you can search. They have a text or chat service, and for anyone out there like me, it's not just emotional verbal abuse, it's abuse and they are there to help and support. I spent a few hours over a few days just talking through things with people who really understood and it was exactly what I needed. Please reach out if it's something you need. TLDR, my husband isn't mean, he's verbally abusive. Don't know what's next. New updates. I'm just exhausted. How am I supposed to get through this? Just discovered this sub, relieved to have a place to vent to people who will get it. Very recently realized that my 10-year-long relationship is not healthy. No need to go into details because the profile of a water torturer from Lundy Bancroft's "Why would he do that?" fits him like a glove. Cruel, cutting remarks disguised as jokes or helpful comments. Constant criticism. That man could Darvo the pants off of Trump. If I take a step back it's impressive. All in all, it's taken me completely by surprise. In the last few weeks I've found out that I'm not the source of all our relationship troubles, I'm not a complete fuck-up of a wife, and none of this is normal. It's a mind fuck. Now I'm biding time. I have an exit plan, but I'm saving for the next few months before I execute it. It's been about a week. I am fucking exhausted. All of that energy I used to spend twisting myself into exactly who I knew he wanted, regulating my reactions, hiding me. It is not enough. Not nearly enough. Now that I see this shit in every interaction and spend my time cycling through rage and shame and excitement and mourning. I'm spent. Y'all, I have no idea how I'm going to get through the next few months. I'm so excited to start living again, but fuck. CA, threatening joke, enough for police. Advice much appreciated. Brief background, my husband's verbal abuse and coercive control have increased over the past decade. I've recently realized the state of this marriage and am planning my exit. As I've become more aware of his behaviors and can see things more clearly, it has been harder to maintain my good wife attitude. I'm standing up for myself more. I'm growing concerned about my safety but not sure if the incident today is enough to involve police. He has never been physically violent. Incident. Today, after I had upset him by standing up for myself in a conversation, he talked for at least a full minute about how he would kill me, as a joke. He said, roughly, that, because I was speaking this way to him lately, he would kill me in my sleep, it would be easy because I'm such a sound sleeper. Then went back and said I'm surprisingly strong when I'm asleep, I toss and turn, and that it might give me an advantage. More talk about how easy it would be, then the part that bothered me most, no, if I'm going to go to all the trouble of killing you, I'd strangle you while you're awake, I'd want to see the light leave your eyes. I'd have to get something good out of it. The fact that it was fairly specific and in direct response to me upsetting him has me concerned for my safety between now and leaving, especially if he finds out or grows suspicious. My gut says it might be worth involving the police and moving up my exit timeline. My concerns and questions. Is what he said legally considered a threat? Is it actionable considering this is just based on my word? What would, likely, happen if I did choose to report this? Is there any way for me to report this without his knowledge? Edited for clarity. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. NAL, move up your exit date to now. Involving police at this very moment will give him an advantage on you and could anger him more. Get your important documents out of there ASAP and move your funds from your joint account to an account he doesn't have access to. I would also suggest saving your photos from your phone somewhere and doing a hard reset on your phone to ensure he doesn't have phone tracking or that he doesn't have remote access to your phone. Change passwords everywhere. But get out now. Reply. Thank you, I appreciate the concern and advice. Working on putting a go bag together now with important documents and things I'll need. I'm on high alert and moving up my exit date to, okay, not now, but significantly sooner than I was planning. Little, happy update October 6, 2022, 9 months since the OG post. Hi. I'm not sure if anyone will see this, but I had such an outpouring of support over a whole bunch of subreddits so I thought this might be the best way to give an update. First, thank you. Thank you all. Everyone who reached out with support, everyone who shared their stories, everyone who pushed back and gave me the opportunity to form my own viewpoints and advocate for myself. Without the reality check that came from my posts I'm sure I would have been stuck in this for much longer than I was already. The update, I'm out. It was a long process, it wasn't linear, and there was so much self-doubt along the way. But I wanted to share the moment that it finally stuck. We had been going back and forth with the divorce. He's doing all the things, he's being the best version of himself, he's improving. Lots more details that ultimately aren't important. But he kept asking, are you sure? And I wasn't for a long time. He worked his magic and I thought that maybe I had made the worst mistake of my life. But he kept asking, and I kept listening to my gut. I tried saying no, let's call this all off and work on us, but that didn't feel good. I felt heavy, like it was putting back on this huge burden that I had just started to get out of. Then I tried saying maybe. I was being honest, I was confused and I told him that. I said I needed time, I needed space. But that felt restrictive, it felt like my body was being compressed. And one morning I realized I hadn't tried saying yes yet. I hadn't tried telling him that yes, I wanted this to be over. So I tried it, I said yes, let's end this. And it felt like all of the weight was lifted off of me. It felt like I could fill my lungs fully again. It felt like the sort of warmth in your chest that you get when your mom gives you a hug. So it stuck. I'm learning to listen to myself again and to trust my instincts. I'm not judging myself for my path to get here. I'm treating myself with all the compassion and kindness I deserved for all those years. I'm on my own path now and it feels so amazing to be here. So thank you all again for everything. Thank you for your concern and outreach. I'm happier and healthier than I have been in a very long time. Stories number 14. Aita for speaking obscenities in front of my family when my cousin came to apologize for sleeping with my sister's husband. As the title says, my 26F cousin Carla, 28F, slept with my older sister's husband. To make it clear from the start, said husband is a POS but Carla is equally disgusting in my books. Anyways, Carla's parents felt the need to drag Carla to my parents' house and have her apologize to our family for the harm she caused. My sister was obviously not present and my father refused to have this circus in our home but mom insisted because she felt bad for her sister. Carla is mom's sister's daughter. So we are at my parents' place, my parents, me, my grandparents, Carla and her parents with a crying Carla apologizing and explaining to all of us how it was a mistake and she did not mean for it to happen. I got mad and I told her please do explain to us how was it a mistake. Because if you did not happen to step on a banana peel, slip and fall right into my BL's DK, I don't really see how it could have been a mistake and if this is the case, you decided to stay there on the DK to finish the job since you landed so right. Carla's mother acted all offended and asked me how can I speak like this in front of my family and my elders, but I told her I feel it is appropriate since we have to listen to her daughter explain to us why she likes to F***K married men. After they left, Dad said he is proud of me for standing up for my sister and that I said everything he wished he could say himself. Mom is mad that I have spoken like this in front of my grandparents and claims that I didn't need to be so cruel. Carla also didn't need to hurt my sister, but here we are. I plan to apologize to my grandparents for hearing me like this, but I am curious just how much of an was I towards them with my language. Stories number 15. Aita for not sharing my food with my in-laws. Edit, my MIL is retired in her 70s. She moved into our basement late last year due to needing to downsize because his father passed recently. She's not paying rent, which we are fine with. We do not eat all together, only on occasion when I want to cook a very big meal or she offers to come up and cook something. Hope this clears things up. I, 24F, grew up with two sisters, so of course I was constantly forced to share everything, especially food, with them. My husband, 27M, was an only child. We live with his mom for the moment, and what bothers me the most, every time I bring home fast food or any other food for myself or the both of us, he offers it to his mother. I wouldn't have an issue picking up something for her as well, but when he goes and offers something I bought for myself that I was excited to eat, it irks me a little bit. Well, recently I was really craving Italian food. Stuffed shells to be exact. My husband and I agreed to go pick up something from the local Italian place and bring it home to eat. Well, we get home and he instantly offers his mother some of our food, but this time I protested and said she can have some of his dish because I wanted mine for myself. He immediately got an attitude with me and said I wasn't going to eat it all, the dish only had 2 large stuffed shells, and told me I was being stingy. His mom, I guess, kinda read the room and said she would just have some of his. He then doubles down and basically tells her to take the other shell from my plate and puts it on her plate for her. Was really irritated me because I then ended up still hungry after because half my dinner was given to his mom. He offered some of his to me, but he knew I didn't like what I got. To conclude, Aita for not wanting to share my food with her, and was I being stingy. Stories number 16. To food by using a leaf blower on my kids. I have twin 3-year-old boys, and they're very active and silly. Well, the other day, I was doing some yard work and using my leaf blower to clear away some grass and dirt. Naturally they're infatuated, so I used the leaf blower on them, and they love it. Started chasing them around the neighborhood with the leaf blower pretending they were leaves. Good ol' wholesome father-son fun, right? Well, naturally now they want me to use the leaf blower on them all the time. No biggie, it's a fun game and I like playing with my electric leaf blower. Only now it's everywhere, including places where I don't have my leaf blower, so instead I have to pretend to blow them away like I'm blowing out a candle. Still fine. All day for the last 3 days it's been, "Dad, can you blow me away?" Very cute stuff. Well, this morning we're at Target and the kids are getting a tad squirrely. They wanted to go to the park, and I said we can go after we finish up here. They're dancing around the aisles being toddlers. Then my son comes up to me in the main aisle, and in his biggest toddler yell shouts, "Dada, can you blow me?" Cue 5 people turning around to look at me and my kid. You'd think by now I'd be immune to toddler-based embarrassment, but nah. So me, in my quietest voice, face feeling redder than a Macintosh apple, respond, "Buddy," inside voice. "Do you mean you want me to blow you away?" Son 1, yes. Blow me, blow me. Excited toddler jumping son 2, yeah, blow me too, Dada. Me, boys, inside voices, please. You mean blow you away, right? How do you ask for that? Sons, please may you blow us away. I blew them away and they go dancing off like leaves. The others who were watching snicker and giggle. One of the other guys nearby gives me a knowing smirk that clearly said, "Been there." Proceed to finish the quickest Target run of my life. TLDR, using a leaf blower on my kids leads them to yell at me to blow them in public. Stories number 17. My husband won't speak to me after finding out I'm pregnant. This was a very much planned pregnancy after dealing with infertility for a long time. However, despite dealing with unexplained infertility for so long, he always refused to get tested. He remained optimistic that we would get pregnant eventually. The thought of doing a semen analysis repulsed him so much it sent him into a downward spiral of self-hatred and insecurity. Then, surprise! I got pregnant unassisted. This should be a really exciting time for us, but all of a sudden he doesn't want to be a dad. He says he wants a divorce so I can start over with someone else. He's already found a new place to live and is in the process of moving out. He won't speak to me. He won't answer any of my questions. I'm completely and utterly confused and heartbroken. Now, I know a lot of you will say he never wanted to be a dad. It sure seems that way. But he desperately wanted us to get pregnant when we were struggling. It was just the thought that something might be wrong with him that sent him into a spiral. I love my husband, but he very clearly has some undiagnosed mental issues. He is not seeing clearly, and some of the things he's been saying seem genuinely delusional. But he won't get help. He's stubborn as hell. You'd think he would know better because he's a doctor, but nope. He says he knows something is wrong with him, but he doesn't care. He wants to disappear. I really, really want this baby. We're in our 30s and have been trying for so long. I'm afraid the stress of this will cause me to miscarry. That's probably what he wants. I don't understand why this is happening. How can you force someone to get help when he doesn't want to get better? How am I supposed to raise a child without him? I'm financially dependent on him because that was what we planned for. TLDR, my husband has gone off the deep end after finding out I'm pregnant, and I don't know how to bring him back to reality and make him sane again. Edit. After talking this through in the comments, it's becoming increasingly obvious to me that my husband is not mentally well. I didn't include his entire history in this post because I thought it best to keep it relevant to this specific situation. But he has had episodes like this before. I'm shocked it wasn't so obvious to me that something was wrong with him. I've suggested therapy in the past, but he has had bad experiences and refuses to try again. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Is there anyone as his family or maybe a friend that he listens to? Commenter. Maybe his mom. He talks to his dad the most, but I don't think they ever touch on anything deep or emotional. I don't think he'll talk to anyone about this. When I asked how he will explain our divorce to his family and friends, he simply said that he just won't tell them because it is none of their business and they don't need to know. He genuinely seems borderline delusional if he believes he can just quietly divorce me without anyone knowing. Commenter 2. Is it possible he thinks you cheated? I'm absolutely, 100% not saying you did, but I have seen it happen to couples who fall pregnant after having long-term fertility trouble that don't go the IVF route. Reply. I honestly don't even think the thought crossed his mind. He definitely would have accused me, asked me if he thought I cheated. Now that you bring it up, I'm actually surprised he doesn't think this. It would fit perfectly with the thought patterns he does share with me. Was OOP's husband diagnosed as sterile? Counseling might be helpful for him to deal with his health issues. Reply. No, he was never diagnosed as anything because he refused to get a semen analysis. We've had a chemical pregnancy before, so he knows he can get me pregnant. Throughout our entire infertility process, he was always extremely confident and optimistic that it would happen eventually. He thought it was unnecessary that we do any testing. I would love for him to go to counseling. He needs it. But he's been mistreated by the mental health industry before, so he no longer trusts therapists. My husband won't speak to me after finding out I'm pregnant. March 3, 2024, 3 days later. Most of the comments on my last post were so helpful. They helped me see things about my husband and marriage that I didn't see before but were so obvious. Some people suggested that his behavior was abusive. It's not. I now know that he's severely mentally ill. After that post, a few days later he came to me and told me he wanted to kill himself. He made sure I knew that he had no plans to actually kill himself, just that he really wanted to die. The next day I reported his behavior to his employer. I really wish I had done it anonymously because I felt that they didn't take me seriously at all. I got the impression that they thought I was a scorned ex trying to enact revenge. Anyway, I have no idea what came of it, but at least I did my duty in reporting it. Now that my eyes have been opened, I've noticed a lot more erratic behavior coming from him, and it's true that he should not be treating patients in his state of mind. Some of you suggested that he never truly wanted a baby. This couldn't be further from the truth. The majority of the time, he is such a normal, kind husband, and he would speak so fondly of our future family. I truly believe that that is the real and true him, and that the man spiraling out in front of me is not who my husband really is. Anyway, not much has changed. He's actually still living with me but sleeping on the couch. Actually, I don't think he's doing much sleeping. I hear him up at all hours of the night. One night he came into bed with me and just held me. But the next morning it was like it had never happened. He's still adamant about the divorce but somehow thinks we can do it without telling anyone or involving lawyers. He also wants to create a dating profile for me and set me up with someone else so that I can see that I'd be much better off with someone other than him. I of course told him no. He will not listen to me when I tell him I want to be with him. He brushes me off and says I'm not thinking clearly. He refuses therapy or medication. He says he doesn't want to feel better. He doesn't care that he's irrational and depressed. He simply doesn't care. He just doesn't want to get better. I'm still pregnant, and he still wants nothing to do with it. I'm so afraid I'm going to lose this pregnancy due to stress. I'm currently 5W2D. The chances that I will miscarry are still high, and I'm dreading the day I find out that I've lost everything, my husband and my baby. I don't know what I would do. Edit. I am getting so goddamn frustrated with people in the comments who are telling me I'm not doing enough because I'm unable to get my husband involuntarily committed to a hospital. I have zero control over this. I have spoken to a police officer as well as someone from the suicide hotline. A person cannot be committed unless they are an immediate threat to themselves or others. And it does not matter what I tell them. He has only told me that he wants to kill himself, not that he plans on doing it. And I will not lie to the police. Additionally, even if I did lie, they will still speak to him and take his statement into account. And if they do not believe he is an immediate threat, they cannot do anything. If you're just going to chastise me for not doing enough, aka not involuntarily committing my husband to a hospital, then please don't comment because, and I cannot stress this enough, there aren't any scenarios where a wife has the authority to commit their spouse involuntarily to the hospital. I fucking checked. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I think he is past the point of being able to make healthy decisions for himself, and needs to be seen by a doctor even if it is against his will. Reply, unfortunately no one can be forced to see a doctor against their will unless they are actively a danger to themselves or others. He's allowed to have thoughts of wanting to kill himself. Intervention can only happen if he has given any indication that he will hurt himself. This is information given to me per the suicide hotline I chatted with the night he told me he wanted to kill himself. Commenter 2, OP, he really sounds like someone who is experiencing mania or psychosis. While these folks are generally not a danger to others, the fact that he wants to be dead and is erratic in his behavior tells me that it is possible he may attempt to harm himself in a moment of impulsivity. If his work won't do anything, you may be able to call in a wellness check. Write down a list of the things you have heard him say and do. Reply, I spoke to the suicide hotline the night he told me he wanted to kill himself. I was told that technically anyone can call in a wellness check, but nothing can really be done unless he's an active threat to himself or others. If someone were to come do a wellness check on him, he knows exactly what to say to get them to back off. Commenter 3, surely, there is a licensing board in your state you can report his behavior to. Reply, I guess I could do that. I'm not sure what I'd say. When I told his employer, they didn't really see the issue. They kind of made it seem like I shouldn't be airing out his dirty laundry, and told me that many doctors suffer from depression and that it's not a reason to keep them from practicing. When I tried to describe the unusual behavior, I think they interpreted it more as marriage troubles. Commenter 4, is it possible he had convinced himself he's infertile and thinks you cheated? Because this all spiraled with the pregnancy news. He is in a really bad place. Reply, no, he's been spiraling somewhat prior to this. But not as severe and not for as long. This is just the worst episode. It was always short-lived and mild enough that I just wrote it off. He definitely doesn't think I cheated or else he would be talking about. Commenter 5, any possibility of help from his family or friends? I know you told me his mom can be dismissive but he's not sleeping and having suicidal thoughts. You can't reason with him and doubt you can have him committed. I hope you are seeking outside support for yourself. Reply, I ended up calling his mom and telling her. Not about the pregnancy though, she called him to see how he was doing and then texted me to tell me that he seems fine. Update on my husband who is in a mental health crisis. I hope it's okay for me to keep posting here. I don't really like any of the other relationship subreddits. I posted a couple weeks ago about my husband not speaking to me after finding out we were pregnant. This is very much a wanted, planned pregnancy. But the positive test results sent him into a mental health spiral of sorts. I wish I could say I have good updates, but I don't. Also, not much has changed. We're still living together in the same house. However, he has converted his office to his new bedroom. He mostly doesn't speak to me, but he has had moments of clarity where he acts normal and excited about the baby. However, it never lasts long because when I try to talk to him about getting help he just shuts down and goes back to his weird delusions. Sometimes he talks to me about how he wants me to move out. He wants me to go on dates and find someone else to be the father of our baby. He also suggested I get an abortion. He continues to tell me he wants to die, and thinks daily about killing himself. I've spoken to someone at the suicide hotline twice now, and have been told there's nothing I can do to force him to get help. The hospital police will not commit him involuntarily just because he says he wants to kill himself. He has to have an actual plan to kill himself. I've seen glimpses of him in a normal state, so I know my husband is still in there. But he absolutely refuses to get help. He says he'd rather die than talk to a therapist. Says he doesn't deserve to feel better and that he just wants to fade away and disappear. My MIL won't help. I think she thinks I'm overreacting. I already contacted his employer and the medical board. No one seems to think there's an issue, and I'm starting to question whether I'm the insane one. I've looked into places I can stay and there's really no options other than staying in my home. If I leave, I may potentially forfeit the right to the house in the event of a divorce. I had my first prenatal appointment and everything looks fine. But it's still so early and with all the stress I'm under there's still a chance I'll miscarry. I really don't want to but I'm bracing for the worst. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, have you seen a divorce attorney? I really think you should so you understand the process and what you can and cannot expect to get once divorced. I'm a facts-based person, and I believe you can't go wrong knowing more about any situation. Reply, no, but I guess that might be my next step. Commenter 2, at this point, you need to put yourself first. This doesn't sound like a good or stable situation. I wouldn't even keep the baby if I were in your shoes. Good luck. Reply, this was a very wanted and planned pregnancy. I am very pro-choice, but I can't justify myself getting an abortion for a baby that we tried for literally years. Commenter 3, any chance that your husband is faking it? It sounds like he's not exhibiting this behavior at work, or with other people, just with you. Now, I have no idea his reason. Maybe he's got a girlfriend and wants to drive you out. Of course I could be wrong, but my spider senses are tingling with this one. In any event, see a lawyer ASAP to make sure you know your rights and what you're legally entitled to. Don't believe anything your husband says in this, or any, regard. Reply, he's not. He admitted to me that he wishes he would get fired so he wouldn't have to quit. And apparently he has cut off contact with his family and friends. I was not aware of that before. Any chance that OOP's husband is in psychosis? Reply, I've never referred to him as being in a psychosis. I've called him delusional because the things he says about himself are delusional. He talks about how everyone hates him, he doesn't deserve to live, he's a worthless human being, etc. He wants to set me up with other men so that I can see how terrible and awful he is and how I can apparently do so much better. This kind of talk is delusional. He's also been recalling memories incorrectly. We had a happy marriage up until this point. He knows I love him and that I think he's more than good enough for me. But he's adamant that he's a piece of garbage and deserves to suffer. He says all of this as if it were fact, not his opinion. And when I try to say anything to counter it, he shuts it down. He cannot comprehend the fact that he is worth something. He is so sure that he is the worst human being on the planet. In reality, he has a loving wife, a fantastic fulfilling job, a supportive family, friends, hobbies, etc. We have no major life concerns such as illness, unless you count this mental illness, debt, etc. He has every reason to believe that he is worth something and is very much loved, but he fully cannot even comprehend it. And something is different in his eyes when he speaks like this. I can't explain it, but it's not my husband. Update on husband who became suicidal when I got pregnant. A lot has changed, but at the same time, I feel like I'm in the same position as I was 2 months ago. I was never able to get my husband involuntarily committed for a psych evaluation. However, he eventually hit rock bottom and decided he needed help on his own. It happened shortly after the last time I posted, because he has been on medication for about 2 months now. We even found a therapist that he really likes, however, his schedule makes it literally impossible to go therapy on a regular basis. So he's only seen this therapist twice. I was literally so proud of him. He was proactive and committed. However, things really haven't gotten much better. He continues to be suicidal. In fact, he mentions killing himself a lot more frequently. The psychiatrist recently took him off the first medication and now he's trying a new one. I know it's a process to get the right combination dose of medication before it really starts to work. I am exhausted. And not because of the pregnancy. But because I've become his caretaker and punching bag. Not literally. He's never been physically abusive and he has never really called me names. But sometimes when he is spiraling, he will push me away, figuratively, by saying things that he knows hurt me. He'll tell me to go be with someone else, to find a new dad for the baby. He'll accuse me of never loving him, and only using him so I could have a baby. He tries so hard to convince me to leave him, and I'm just so tired of it. It sounds selfish, but I can't take it. He has not stopped threatening to kill himself. I don't know what to do anymore. I know the baby feels everything that I feel, and that kills me. I am giving this poor child the worst start to its life. I should be experiencing joy and relaxation. Instead, I am constantly in fight or flight mode. Anyway, I've made a plan in case I need it. I need him to be better before the baby comes. I have already met with a lawyer in case I decide I've had enough. I was able to get legal advice, and now I have a lawyer on standby who already has all the information. But I feel like we're racing against the clock. I told him if he's not significantly better by the time the baby comes, I'm going to go visit my family and give birth there. Does that seem fair? I feel guilty about it because technically he is trying to get better and it could take a while. He's doing everything he should be doing, I guess. But I have to protect myself and I have to protect my baby, and having the baby in another state, and staying there, getting a job, etc., will make it much more difficult for him to get custody if it comes to that. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, go to your family now. Tell him it's not permanent, but he needs space to get better and you need to be off the emotional roller coaster because it isn't good for the pregnancy. If he gets himself help, sees the therapist regularly, gets the meds dosed right, etc., you can always return to him once the baby is here. Reply, I can't. Going to my family in another state is like a very last resort. I have pets here and I can't leave them. And I also can't bring them. I wouldn't have a room at my family's house. OOP's husband needs to seek inpatient treatment. Reply, inpatient treatment wouldn't work with his work schedule, and he can't take time off. I wish he would, because I agree it would probably be the best thing for him and could help get him stabilized. But he would have to completely redo a year of residency if he took that much time off of work. If he takes FMLA, he'll have to completely redo a year of his residency. He found a therapist he wants to work with, so he's trying to figure out a way to make it work with his schedule, but it's not going well. And yes, his job is indeed that inflexible. And no, it is not good for his mental health. Medical residency is kinda infamous for that. I'm 8 months pregnant. What is the best safest way to separate from my mentally ill husband? September 16, 2024, 3.5 months later. Feel free to comb through my post history, but the gist of it is that my happy, stable, marriage fell apart when I got pregnant. Even though it was a very planned pregnancy, my husband had a complete personality change and has been struggling with his mental health. My ideal situation does not involve leaving him. I would much rather he get the help he needs. I have spent the past 8 months dedicating everything I have to helping him get better. He does see a psychiatrist on a semi-regular basis and has been prescribed antidepressants. To my knowledge, he does take them. However, he remains passively suicidal and is adamant that I should leave him because he will be a bad father. He has never been physically violent other than one time where he cornered me in a room and wouldn't let me out while he screamed at me. I don't have proof of that, but I do have many texts of his emotional abuse and mental instability. Like I said, ideally I would like for him to get better, but unless there is a legal way to force him to get help, I don't see that happening. He refuses therapy and repeatedly says he does not want to get better, so it seems my only option is to separate for the sake of my child. I need to raise my baby in a stable environment and I can't do that with him. He has stated that if I choose to leave him, he will still provide financially for the baby. But I'm concerned that once he sees how much he will owe in child support and alimony, he will try to get 50-50 custody to avoid paying CS. And if he has custody, then it kind of defeats the whole purpose of me leaving him. My state defaults to 50-50 custody, and I have heard too many stories of women having to share custody with their abusive exes despite having proof of abuse, and sometimes even when their ex has been convicted of DV. I am extremely fearful that he will be able to convince the courts that he is stable. He has a good job, pediatrician, and a fantastic reputation in the community. People adore him. I adored him. But he isn't the same man I married and I'm scared. Legally, what would you recommend to a woman in my situation? I have no local family or friends. I prefer not to move out of our home due to the fact that I'm 8 months pregnant, I have pets, and the nursery is already set up. I think I may be able to convince him to move out, but after that, I'm not sure what my next step is. Relevant comments. OOP needs to consider the divorce and get full custody of her child. Reply, I don't even want to divorce my husband, let alone take his child from him. What I want is for him to be mentally well enough to parent so that we can be a happy family. Separating him from the baby is a last resort, and it has nothing to do with being my side of the story. His side of the story is him pretty much saying the same thing, and if you read my post thoroughly you'd see that. He has stated over and over, in text, so I have proof, that he is an unfit father, doesn't want the baby, and also doesn't want to get better mentally. My concern is that since he is not fully stable, he will suddenly change his mind about wanting the baby, but still refuse to get treated for his mental illness. OOP responds to a comment regarding her husband putting the controls on their marriage. Reply: you hesitate and have the child where you are putting all the power in your unstable, wealthy, and from the sounds of it, emotionally abusive, selfish and vindictive husband's hands. You have to rely on asking him to pretty please move out, pay child support, have no custody and get help. If he hasn't been willing to do that to save your marriage, he probably won't be doing it to ease your divorce. Ugh. You're so completely right. I hate this. But you worded this to be the exact wake-up call I needed. Yes, my family lives in a good state for supporting mothers. But I'm too pregnant to fly there, and it's on the other coast, so road tripping would take probably over a week. I guess that's my only option though. Update. 1 year update on husband 32M who became suicidal when I 31F got pregnant. What's next? I started using this account over 2 years ago to post about infertility. Eventually, my husband and I got pregnant after 2 years of trying. Unfortunately, immediately upon getting pregnant, he fell into a deep mental health spiral. Check my post history for details and context. There's a lot. Anyway, it's been many months since my baby was born and I've been doing a lot of reflecting. Towards the end of my pregnancy, I was planning on leaving my husband. It was clear he was severely mentally ill and dangerous to himself. I was trying to figure out a way to get out of the state so I could give birth far away. Unfortunately, I gave birth almost a month early unexpectedly. After my baby was born, my husband appeared to do a 180. It was like the bad stuff never even happened, and he hasn't had a single mental health episode since. It's like he just snapped out of it. He's been, mostly, the perfect dad ever since. And even though that was the best outcome I could have hoped for, this isn't a happy update. Being a mother, I now know what unconditional love is, and my husband never deserved mine. Even though he's better now, and that's all I thought I wanted, I cannot let go of my resentment. Every day I feel like I hate him more and more. What he put me through was abuse, plain and simple. And at the end, he got rewarded with the most perfect baby in the world. And now I'm just here, expected to be a perfect wife and mother like nothing ever happened. But it did happen. Even though I sometimes question whether the whole thing was some weird pregnancy-induced fever dream. It wasn't. There's no plot twist here. He's aware of my resentment towards him, but he thinks it will go away in time. However, I've only found that it's gotten worse over time. Of course, he still refuses therapy. Couples therapy included. So I see no resolution here. I feel like I'm stuck. And yes, I know I only have myself to blame for not getting out in time, but alas, here we are. The way I see it, I have several options. I can divorce him. And most days, this is what I feel like I want. But then I really think about what divorce would mean, and it would mean my husband gets automatic 50-50 custody of our child. And that thought truly makes me sick to my stomach. I've met with a lawyer. Despite everything my husband put me through while I was pregnant, none of it is enough to take custody from him. In the state that I live in, even domestic abusers get automatic 50-50 custody unless there was abuse done to their children. Or I could stay and try to stick it out for my son by trying to let go of my anger and resentment. But I don't know how to do that. How can I forgive a man who doesn't think he's done anything that needs to be forgiven? I've been doing therapy for myself, but my therapist keeps pushing my husband and I to do couples counseling, which he refuses. I guess I just need help talking through my options with some neutral third-party POVs. Thank you in advance for any advice you can give. TLDR: my husband became mentally ill and suicidal when I got pregnant. After I gave birth, he snapped out of it, but I cannot let go of the resentment I feel towards him, and he doesn't seem to care about making amends. Relevant comments. OOP responds to a longer comment regarding the 50-50 custody in her state and marriage counseling. Reply: my lawyer says we're in a very father-friendly custody state. It's not just a starting point. He was trying to prepare me for what the eventual outcome would likely be. I did mention marriage counseling. I'm open to it, but my husband refuses. Commenter 1: I wouldn't leave my kid alone with a guy who is mentally ill and suicidal. Also he refuses therapy. Reply, right. I don't want to. But the general consensus seems to be that I need to divorce him. I can't divorce him without conceding some amount of custody of my child to him. Commenter 2, I find it hard to believe that dad would get 50-50 for a newborn. Reply, we're out of the newborn stage. We're closer to his first birthday. OOP on having another child with her husband. Reply, I'm one and done. No more. Commenter 3, is there any documentation of your husband's mental health struggles? Doctor's visits? Hospitalizations? Maybe even your dated Reddit posts could serve as evidence. It's worth asking your lawyer. I'm not saying this because I think it would get you full custody, but it could maybe get you a custody evaluation, where a professional would take a closer look. My husband and his ex has an eval, and they both got full psych screenings, and maybe make therapy a requirement for 50-50 custody. Anyone who would refuse therapy after that kind of struggle is a selfish prick. Reply, just text messages and some voice memos I took of him while he was suicidal. My lawyer went through everything. He said it was damning evidence that my husband is a POS, but not the kind of POS that a court would deny access to his child. Commenter 4, so, this shady, and not sure it will work, but can you visit family in a state you want to live and have support, and get a driver's license there with their address and maybe put a utility, internet bill, into your name to establish residency. Maybe even get a WFH job while there. Go back to your current residence, and get an exit plan in place. You purge stuff you don't need, if possible get a storage unit and start putting stuff you don't need currently in there, family treasures, etc. Just doing some decluttering and spring cleaning, if questions are asked. Don't forget your important personal documents, marriage certificate, birth certificates, SS cards. And when the opportunity presents itself, you haul ass out of there. Just an idea. Good luck. Reply, per my lawyer, I can't do this as it would be considered kidnapping. I was advised to do it before the baby came, which was my plan, but I was thwarted by his premature arrival. Stories number 18. Aita for refusing to push my niece to go to her stepmom for female problems when she prefers to come to me. My niece Addie, 14F, is the child of my older brother and late best friend Cam. Cam died from an infection when Addie was 6. When Addie was 7 my brother started dating again. He met Jess after several dates and they got married after a year of dating. Jess was nice enough to start with and her and Addie got along fine. But Addie didn't get closer to Jess like my brother and Jess expected, and when any issues came up she would turn to me for help and not Jess. I was who she told when she got her first period, when she started getting cramps, and also when she had concerns about her periods. Or other developmental stuff she was concerned about. Jess was jealous and she asked me to step aside and let her take care of Addie as her new mom. I told Jess I would not turn Addie away from me if she came to me. My brother and Jess spoke to Addie and she told them Jess wasn't her mom and she found it easier to talk to me, and didn't want to work on making it easier to go to Jess for this stuff. When Addie was newly 12 my brother limited contact with me and Addie for several months because he was hoping it would encourage her to speak to Jess about, to quote my brother, female problems. But after several months he told me he needed me to step in again and be there for Addie because she was bottling it all up. So for over a year it's been me helping her when stuff comes up. But since Jess had her and my brother's second child together, she's been feeling more upset that Addie comes to me instead of her. She told me I needed to get Addie to go to her for problems. She said it makes more sense because she'll have been her mom most of her life by the time Addie graduates and moves out. She said I need to push Addie as much as possible if that's what it takes. I refused. I told her I will not risk Addie isolating herself, and the more she pushes the less Addie will warm up to her, and she needs to accept their relationship as it naturally develops or doesn't. Jess told me I was showing my loyalty to Cam over everyone and that Addie needs a mom and Cam isn't here anymore. And for Addie's sake she should be relying on her new mom for this kind of problem. But instead I'm just glad she's holding on to Cam and not thinking long term. Stories number 19. Aita for refusing to cut off my hair because my 7-year-old niece has cancer. The title probably already tells I'm the asshole, which I probably am, but I just need other people's opinions on my situation. I am 17 male. Unfortunately, about 6 weeks ago, my niece got diagnosed with all. Considering she has pretty much had health issues since birth, words cannot describe how bad I feel for my aunt, uncle, cousin, and especially my niece. It basically broke their family apart, and even though I had never been that close with them, I really tried to emotionally support them, especially my cousin, to really let him know that I'm there for him and that he can tell me whatever is going on inside his mind at any time anywhere, which he has already done a couple times. Now, I'll get to the point. Last week, due to the results of chemo, my niece's beautiful long blonde hair started to fall off, which they immediately shaved down. I'm not native English, sorry if I make this sound weird, but the next day, a group chat including the entire family was created where my aunt announced it would be wholesome if everyone shaved their hair off as well to show their support, including a picture where the four of them all smile without any hair on their head. As soon as I saw this I thought it was wholesome, but doubted anyone else would do it. 2 hours later I arrive home so see both my sister and mother bald. Following by my other cousin and grandma. The next day when I woke up and entered the living room, my mom asked, "When are you ready to do it?" While holding an electric hair trimmer. I originally thought it was something to decide on your own, but since everyone else is doing it, I'm kind of being pushed into a corner. I really don't want to sound egoistic, but I'm a guy with long hair, which over the years has basically become my personality. It's pretty much the only thing about myself I love, and I really don't think I want to shave it off. Yes, if I shave it, my niece could be shocked that her long-haired cousin finally shaved his hair off in order to support you. But if I have to keep things real, I might sound extremely rude here, but my aunt made a video showing my niece's reaction to my mom and sister shaving their heads off and she did not even seem to slightly care about it. Video went like this, and trying to show the picture to my niece, who is watching a cartoon. She has to tap her maybe 4 times to get her attention, and when she looks, she just stares at it, says, "Wow," and continues watching her cartoon. I noticed after this video, my mom started to kind of become pushy towards me shaving my hair, to show my support. Again, this might sound rude, but in other words, she wants to drag me down into the pit with her. This morning I got a text from my aunt, where she said it would be really nice if I shaved my head as well, in order to show my emotional support towards my niece. If we have to keep things real, shaving my head will basically change nothing in the entire situation, but I can't just say no, can I? I seriously really don't know what to do. If my aunt would have shown a little more appreciation to my sister and mom, I would have probably considered it. But considering she did not even reply to the pictures and just immediately showed them to my niece, as if you have to do it, I don't think I'm willing to do it. Don't get me wrong, I really love my niece, and even though I'm not that close with her, I always really cared about her and made sure she always felt comfortable with me, and I have a lot of fun memories with her when she was a little girl. It's just that when they moved a couple towns away, we started seeing them less and less. But really, what do I do? I'm almost getting threatened to cut off my hair by 3 people. And if I do decide to do it, what if no appreciation is shown? Yes, I would have done it, to show support from my side, but if it's nowhere to be appreciated, then what's the point? Stories number 20. I'm in love with my baby's mom, but she wants to leave. So I, 27M, met Mila, 25F, like 4 years ago at a bar. Long story short, it was a mutual friend's birthday, we were at this bar, and we had both just gotten out of long-term relationships. Hers was 5 years, mine was 4. A lot of drinking later, it was hella awkward waking up naked on the birthday dude's couch with Mila. But honestly, that wasn't even the wildest thing that happened that night. The birthday guy. He did something way worse. Anyway, after all that, me and Mila were both super awkward about it. She legit looked like she wanted to crawl under a rock. Neither of us wanted anything serious since we had just broken up with our exes, but we still swapped numbers and went our separate ways. Fast forward like 3 months, Mila texted me up asking to grab coffee. I thought it was kinda weird, but I figured she might want to go on a date or something. When I got there, she looked like she'd been crying. As soon as I sat down, she just started bawling. Turns out, she was pregnant. She hadn't realized 'cause she was super stressed and tired, but I was the only person she'd slept with. My whole life flipped upside down. We did a DNA test, and it was mine. Then she moved in with me 'cause she was sharing a room with a roommate. The guest room became hers, and my office is now Andreas' room, but we call him Andy. Having a kid wasn't exactly in my plans, but since Andy came along, my life's been better, honestly. Over the years, me and Mila never really had a romantic relationship, except for this one time she kissed me after Andy was born. We get along, I support them, I'm paying for Mila's grad school, she finishes next year, we split the chores, and I'm always there for whatever she needs. So, in November, Andy's gonna turn 3. We've been planning his birthday, it's around Halloween, so he and his friends are all gonna dress up. He wants to go as Bingo from Bluey. During one of our talks, Mila asked if I wanted her to move out. She said now that Andy's 3, we could co-parent separately, and I could even, get a girlfriend if I wanted to. I just went blank and said no and dipped to my room. Here's the thing, I love her. Having Andy is everything to me, but I'm also legit in love with her. She's smart, beautiful, caring, thoughtful, kind, dedicated, she's literally the most perfect person ever. But I'm way too scared to tell her. We have a kid together, and I'm terrified of ruining everything between us as parents and friends. I don't know if I should tell her how I feel or just keep pretending everything's fine so I don't mess up what we have. Update. So, I, 27M, posted my story a few days ago, and yesterday I finally talked to Mila, 25F. Quick recap, me and Mila had a baby together after a one-night thing. Ever since, we've been living together and I'm in love with her. She's absolutely stunning, breathtaking even, but I've been too scared to tell her how I feel because I didn't want to mess up our co-parenting situation. So, I left work early, picked up Andy from nursery, and dropped him off at my mom's. I bought some flowers, cleaned up the house while she was in class, and texted her, saying she didn't need to pick up Andy and to just come home because we needed to talk. When she got home, she looked at me with her big eyes wide open, and the first thing she asked about was our kid. I hugged her for a while, but she went full mommy bear mode and kept asking about our baby boy. After I reassured her that he was with my mom and totally fine, she finally calmed down. I brought her to the living room, gave her the bouquet, and started talking. It was a long convo. I told her how I've been scared of ruining things and how it hurt when she asked if I wanted her to leave. She admitted she was afraid she was messing up my life, that she feels like a burden sometimes, and even blames herself for ruining my life with the pregnancy. I shut that down real quick. I never wanted kids, but honestly, since Andy and Mila came into my life, everything's been way better. It's been the best, most challenging mistake I've ever made. She also said she likes me too, and she's felt that way since she was pregnant but wasn't sure if it was just the hormones. After the baby, she felt embarrassed to say anything because she didn't feel comfortable in her body anymore. She never got back to her pre-pregnancy body and thought I wouldn't find her attractive. But to me, she's the most beautiful and hot woman on the planet. She also admitted she'd get jealous when I went on dates, even though she knew it didn't make sense because we weren't a thing. Honestly, if she went on dates, I'd be dying of jealousy too. We talked for a long time, even got into some deeper, more personal stuff. By the time we were done, it was late. We went to this small restaurant near our place for dinner. No wine, 'cause I was driving, but it was amazing. We chatted about music, movies, and she went off about Asoya for ages while I rambled on about LOTR. We talked about life and random stuff. At the end of the night, I got a few kisses in the car, like we didn't even live together, which was kinda cute. Then we watched a horror movie, awful movie by the way, but she fell asleep cuddling me. It was a day full of wins. Update 2. Hey guys. So, I saw a TikTok video about my story and it's kinda embarrassing having a piece of my life narrated by AI ha. I decided to give y'all an update, but first, a quick note, please use protection. I read some concerning comments about my situation. Yeah, I was pretty drunk and reckless, and things could have turned out way worse. Don't be like me. Alright, here's what's been going on these past few months. We broke up, and she moved to another city, sad face. Just kidding, Andy's birthday was amazing. Everyone showed up in costumes, and the kids loved it. Andy dressed as Bingo, I went as Bandit, and Mila was Chili. Andy was over the moon that we all dressed up, but what melted my heart was when we were getting ready in the bedroom, and my little guy said, I always wanted this. I think the way our dynamic was before, we didn't really have these sweet family moments, and it makes me so happy that my son gets to experience this now. So yeah, we're officially dating now, and it's been nothing short of amazing. She's happy, my little guy is happy, and nothing makes me happier than seeing them like this. Has it been perfect? Nah, it's the start of a relationship with a lot of baggage. We're doing couples therapy because we've been living together and acting as a family way longer than we've been an actual couple. The first month was kinda rough. I felt awkward about being intimate at home, and so did she, mostly because of the family dynamic we had before. But I think we're building something really good. I don't have much else to update for now, but I'll definitely share if anything new happens. I told her about this account, so to the hottest woman alive, you've got my heart. Love you, Amelia, my Mila. Update 3. A while ago I posted here about how I was in love with my baby's mom and I was strongly encouraged to talk to her, and I did. We've been together for 8 months now, and these have been the best 8 months of my life. Everything is worth it as long as I'm with her. Every day during these 8 months, I go to bed knowing that everything I experience with her is worth living. Now, for the biggest update, I proposed to her, and she said yes. And unlike the first time, we're already planning to give our Andy a little brother or sister right after the wedding. Thank you. I think this will be my last update. P.S. The dog, Oswald, is fine. Edit. Other platforms, I saw some really disturbing comments. Some people are really worried about the fact that I pay for stuff for my now fiancé. Just wanna say, I'm not struggling financially, and even if she didn't want to be with me, I'd still cover everything for her until she had a solid career and a place of her own. My main concern is my son. If I can give him and his mom a better life, why wouldn't I? I think, that as a dad, it's my job to make sure my kid has the same opportunities, and I'll keep doing that, no matter if I'm with his mom or not. Stories number 21. I, 35F, think my husband, 37M, might be cheating on me, but my evidence aren't very good. How to deal with it? So 2 weeks ago, I unexpectedly broke my phone when I dropped it. I was without a phone for a few days, and I had to make calls to family and friends. I take my husband's phone, with his consent, of course. When I was looking for one person in his contacts, I noticed that he had someone signed as Love. Honestly, I found this a bit odd, as he's usually the type to refer to everyone by name plus where he knows them from. Even I'm not described as wife but as OP's name. Despite this, even when my husband changes his phone, he always has the same number and transfers all his stuff. Some of his contacts are even from school. So I started wondering if it was some ex-girlfriend he'd forgotten about or something. It bothered me, though, so the next day I approached him and said, "Hey, when I was using your phone, I noticed one weird contact referred as Love and it's bothering me. Could you explain it to me?" His answer surprised me a bit because he said, "Good that you mentioned it, I was just thinking about calling them." To put it as simply as possible, Love is a pizzeria which we use sometimes. The thing is, I'm 100% sure Love only became a pizzeria after I used his phone. I don't remember the entire number, but I do remember the last 2 digits. Let's say it was something like 11. The pizzeria's number ends with something like 33. I can't stop thinking about it. I have a feeling that because my phone broke unexpectedly, he didn't have time to change Love to something else, but he knew I'd ask, so he switched after I'd finished using his phone. On the other hand, we've been together for 7 years and he's never been secretive, he never hid his phone, and I've never seen anyone signed as Love call him. But ever since this thought popped into my head, I can't stop wondering, but how do I approach this? Do I have the right to ask him to look through his phone? How can I trust him? Comments. Commenter 1. Only an idiot would save a number as Love or something similar if they were cheating. Commenter 2. This. If there was a random woman's number saved as Pizza Hut, that would be better evidence. Update. Now, today's events. I decided to take a chance. While my husband was taking a bath, I used his phone. I found 2 numbers that matched the first one 11, but one of them was his sister's, so that was out. I wrote down the second number on a piece of paper. I quickly put the phone away. But 10 minutes later, my husband was still in the bathroom, so I took a chance again and checked his phone again. He and this number exchange 2 phone numbers every day, when he should be at work and when I'm already asleep. I fall asleep first, my husband goes to bed a little after midnight. They also had a lot of messages, but all of them from my husband boiled down to "How are you feeling? And do you need anything?" No photos. When it was time for me to go for a running, I took my phone and the number I had written down. I ran to the park, and called there. A woman answered almost immediately. An elderly lady. A truly elderly lady. Not his grandmother or anyone else in the family. But she was the Love. This is where it gets even weirder. I told her I was a friend of my husband's name. She told me she didn't know who I was talking about, and I could tell from her voice that she wasn't lying. She was genuinely confused. So I said that I was talking about the person she talks and texts with every day. She said, "Oh, you mean, definitely not my husband's name?" I said yes. We had a conversation in which she praised him and called him her another soulmate. And true angel. She also asked me not to tell my husband's wife about our conversation and that he helped her every day and asked me when he can visit her again. I was very confused. I made up a quick excuse and hung up. I got home an hour ago and I still don't know what to do. I'm more confused than last time. Comments. Commenter 1. When you get home say I called that number and spoke with the woman you text every day. Why does she think your name is X? Just ask directly and don't let up until you have an answer. Commenter 2, 100% this. OP needs to be really direct. Commenter 3, I hope he isn't scamming her. That was my first thought with an elderly lady. Because if he was just going there to do good deeds, why wouldn't he tell you that, and why would she say don't tell his wife? Put the piece of paper with her number on the table and ask him to explain himself. See what he says. Commenter 4, do you think she's old enough to have dementia? And I hate to say it, but is he either looking after her or taking advantage of her? Commenter 5, if he was looking after her, why using a fake name and making it such a secret? My best guess is he is scamming her. Can't even be just a dodgy hoping for inheritance move since he is using a fake name. Commenter 6, is it possible the woman he's talking to lives with the elderly woman? Reply, she didn't mention anyone else. Commenter 7, my first thought was that he is scamming an elderly lady who possibly has dementia. Do you have any kind of access to his financial records? Has he made any large purchases recently? Any big vacations? Reply, yes, no and no. Commenter 8, I find this very strange, why can't you just ask him? Reply, now. I think I'm afraid of the answer. The affair already sounded scary, but this, what if he's really taking advantage of some old woman? Commenter 9, could be 1,000,001 different things, but like you said, the little old lady said to thank him. Could be helping her, could be anything. Don't know unless you ask him. Instead you are coming to Reddit and created a conspiracy that we are now all too nosy to let go of. LOL mate, I would rather my missus came to me and asked me honestly what is going on. I have nothing to hide, so I would be honest and open. I'd give my missus my phone right away if she asked. Stories number 22. I lost a diamond necklace my fiancé bought me and I hate myself. It was a beautiful single diamond on a gold chain. I haven't been wearing it because the clasp needed repairing. It's been in my bedside table for ages, but for some reason last time I had a clear out I decided to move it to a safe place. We're getting married soon and I wanted to wear it for our wedding day. I've turned every single place that could be considered a safe place in our house upside down. It's not fucking here. I have a horrible feeling the box has somehow ended up in the trash with the necklace in it. I hate myself so much and I hate the lifetime of shit like this that is ADHD. I need a hug. Update, sorry I haven't responded to your comments. I was super down yesterday so took some time away from my phone, was not expecting to come back to over 100 comments. You are all extremely kind and I feel comforted knowing it's not just me who's had things like this happen. A few prayers to Saint Anthony have been said. I think it is really gone. I have a horrible feeling that I mistakenly put a bag which had the box in the trash when I was doing a clear out. I can only take this as a learning experience. As I'm sure my fiancé will, to never buy me small precious objects again. Update, I had loads of lovely and reassuring comments giving advice on how to find it, telling me that it would show up and that even if I didn't, I wasn't a bad person for this happening. Anyway, I'm getting married on Friday and I found it today. It was hidden in a box behind a picture frame propped up on my windowsill. I had clearly thought that was a safe place to put it, but God knows why I'd thought I'd be able to find it again. The irony is, the only reason I found it was because I was hunting around for a folder of photos that I now can't find anywhere, which I'd wanted to use for some last-minute wedding crafts. But I DGAF about them now. I cannot believe that it showed up at all, let alone in time for me to actually wear it on my wedding day. I'm so thrilled. Just thought I would share the update because I had so many nice comments on the original post and at least some ADHD nightmare stories have a happy ending. Edit, wow, thank you so much for the well wishes everyone. Ah, what a supportive community this is. Please be assured the necklace is now fixed and safely packed ready for the big day and is doing straight back with the rest of my jewelry as soon as we get home. Where it should be have been all along. Also I did find the photo album in the end. And surprisingly, it wasn't in the place where I thought the necklace might be. It was, however, in a place that I had already looked a couple of times. Oh dearie me. Stories number 23. Husband says he doesn't like my food. 3 days ago my, 25F, husband, 24M, said something rude to me and I've been trying to avoid him and stay calm. When I came home from work after working a 12-hour shift I cooked rice and beans and then went to bed to work another 12-hour shift the next day. He texted me during work and sent this. When I got home things escalated and he packed everything and left. Am I overreacting? Why go to this extreme and leave over some food? Gallery of texts. Husband, so is this food you made yesterday some sort of get back? Husband, did you taste this crap? Me, what? Husband, it's one thing to not want to have sex, I can manage that. Me, you didn't like the rice. Husband, but you will be cooking proper food here if you want to stay married. Husband, did you taste it? Me, Yes, and I liked it. Husband, that shit is tasteless. Me, wow. Okay, husband, when you get home, I am gonna take the car to go get something to eat. When I get back tonight there better be some type of food in the fridge for me to eat tomorrow. Me, no, you can Uber. I've done a lot for you and I feel like you take me for granted. I'm done doing things for you. I'm done. Comments. I work 12-hour shifts, I cook, I clean, I do all the grocery shopping, all the laundry. And this is what I get. Hey everyone, I was not expecting all this support. So we have only been married about 7 months. He's an engineer and I'm a travel RN. He pays for 90% of our bills. I enjoy cooking and cleaning for him. But lately I've been telling him I need more emotional support. Some dates, flowers, alone time etc. That has been lacking and I feel neglected. So sometimes I don't want to have sex because I don't feel the closeness with him, hence why he said the part about sex in the message. He thinks he doesn't need to do all that emotional stuff because I'm married to him and I'm set financially because I'm married to him. After that text message I came home and he tried to take my car keys. I said no, he ended up shoving me and locking me out of our apartment for about 1 minute. Then he opened the door and started packing his bags and left. He works from home, so having 2 cars was a waste of money for us. In the beginning of the marriage he threw divorce at me every time we fought. It was draining. I really thought it was a joke at first. I was stunned. He works from home. I season my food like I normally do. What his problem is. I'm on my period and I don't like sex on my period. Plus he's always salty about not getting sex but I feel neglected emotionally so it's hard to get horny. Somebody says having sex is her duty as a woman, he's not doing his duty. Why have sex with someone who doesn't appreciate me? I'm not white. I'm from the Caribbean and I use spices, I always do. He was just being disrespectful. It was my car, which is crazy, the audacity he had to be saying that. Update. I read a lot of the comments and tried to respond to a lot of the DMs. He came back and begged for therapy and I tried to make it work for a month but I had already mentally checked out so I have filed for divorce and moved out of our apartment. I'm happy and at peace now. Stories number 24. Am I wrong for not wanting my son to be circumcised? So some context, I'm not circumcised, neither is any of my brothers or father. Me and my fiancé are expecting our son in September and she's adamant on circumcising him. I've been against it my whole life because I don't see a need for it. My parents taught me how to keep myself clean and I've tried to explain why I'm against it but she's trying to force me to agree to it and what to do anymore without her threatening to keep him from me. Comments. Commenter 1. The fact she is so adamant about this as to threaten to take your son from you is concerning. NTA. Have her midwife talk to her about it. Commenter 2. In the UK, and Australia, it's damned near impossible nowadays to get a baby, child, or even adult circumcised unless there's a clear medical need for it. Even finding a private doctor to do it can be difficult unless it's for religious purposes. It's pretty in the same classification as female genital mutilation nowadays. If there's no medical need, then ask her why she wants to mutilate the baby. Commenter 3. NTA. Your wife is actively seeking to mutilate a child. She wants her first act as a mother to be cruel. She isn't okay. Commenter 4. 200 babies die from this barbaric ritual every year in the US. That alone should be enough to be against it. Tell her to watch a video of a circumcision as well. Commenter 5. I had to Google this. The number is 100 but holy cow. I had no idea this was more than one. It needs to stop. I cannot for the life of me understand why it started in the first place. Update. So after shower her my post and reading the 100s of comments she's finally accepted that's it's be much wrong. She wanted me to be open-minded about it but unless it's medically needed it won't be happening. Thank you to everyone who commented and the few who DM'd me videos and articles on it. Comments. Commenter 1. Since she doesn't, I assume, have a penis she should listen to someone who does. I'm glad she's listening now. I'm American and I am appalled out how common circumcision is here. It's not done nearly as commonly in other parts of the world including Europe and in most cases there's no medical reason for it. Commenter 2. This can go either way. My husband was originally pushing for a circumcision for our child but I was absolutely adamant about not doing it and basically wrote a whole research paper to present to him. He folded. Commenter 3. My ex-husband was the only one who wanted to get our son circumcised. I was completely against it, but he thought it would be super weird if our son wasn't because he was. When he found out it wasn't covered by OHIP, we live in Ontario, Canada, and cost a couple $100, he finally gave up trying to fight me on it. I was adamant that it was never happening regardless. Stories number 25. My mom wants to invite my ex whom I cheated on in my wedding, and my fiancé is absolutely furious. Help. I 28M was a terrible person in past, which I have moved on from. Used to drink a lot and had cheated on my ex 27F countless times in our 3-year relationship. Ick how she was stuck with me for so long. So one day, she found out I was cheating again and broke things up, which I don't blame her for. I was cut off by my family, which was heartbreaking. I eventually improved myself, got in therapy, and eventually apologized and reconciled with my family. I found out my mother and my ex were still in contact, which I didn't mind. They were close even when I was with her. My family invites my ex to family gatherings as her family is, let's say, not that good, which I again don't care. We both are civil and don't interact much. Eventually I met a new girl 28F, and 1 year later, I am engaged to her. Yeah, and she knows how I was in the past as I had told her. We are planning wedding to host only close friends and family. Then problem arrives that my mother, who's close with my ex, wants to invite her to the wedding and my fiancé is absolutely furious, and the reason my mother's giving is that it's a family event. Honestly, I don't want her to be in my wedding too. I called her to talk about it and she told me the same damn thing. She doesn't want to be in my wedding but my mother's insisting, which is infuriating. My mother is still saying she won't come if my ex isn't coming and my fiancé had arguments with her. I am seriously thinking of not inviting her ATP, but if she doesn't come, I am afraid that I might be cut off from my family again. This is so infuriating. Comments. Commenter 1. It's your wedding, not your mom's wedding. Tell your mom outright, she doesn't want to come, I don't want her to come, fiancé doesn't want her to come. Stop being weird about it and let it go. Do not invite her. It is a weird entitlement when parents dictate guest lists anyway. Unless they are paying, they get no say. If they are paying, you have the right to draw boundaries. Good luck. If your mom is that hung up on it, maybe you have to let her go too. Commenter 2. You realize your mother hasn't forgiven you, right? Update. Shit went down. TLDR. My mother wanted to invite my ex, whom I had cheated on, to my wedding. Update. Honestly, I got overwhelmed with the responses. Thank you everyone who replied. As most of you said, I grew a spine and talked to my mother with me and my fiancé sitting down. She wouldn't drop it, saying she doesn't like my fiancé. Well, my fiancé yelled at her. So she's not coming to my wedding anymore. I sent all wedding guests explaining the situation, that my mother wants to invite my ex to my wedding and basically, most of them are in my side. Those who said I am ungrateful, let's just say they are uninvited and blocked. My brother 34M called me to say that I did the right thing, which was a relief. Going further, I would probably go low contact with my mother. My ex called me and my fiancé talked to her on speaker and she apologized and said she said no to my mother and won't drop it. I said okay, and OFC, she's not invited. My father said he's not coming too if his wife is not coming, which is like valid. So the wedding is actually small with 50 people, but the planned reception is huge with 150 people, which my father is throwing on my behalf. My mother will be there, so there might be drama. Edit. Should have added that my father and father-in-law both are throwing reception together. I will have security just in case in the wedding. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm glad you put your foot down. Since your father is hosting for the reception, are you sure he won't cancel it from being pressured by your mother? Do you have a backup plan just in case? Reply. Father said mother won't do anything stupid at reception and ex is not invited in reception. Commenter 2. So your dad's not going to go to his own son's wedding because his wife is but will go to the reception looking like a loser who didn't go to his own son's wedding. Got it. Reply. My brothers don't have close relation with dad. TBH, I am the favorite child who was spoiled rotten by him. That was the reason I was terrible in the past. Update. Mother and father aren't coming to reception too. So I had a talk with FIL and fiancé about the situation of all, and my FIL will alone cover the cost of reception. I offered some money to him but he refused, saying I am like his son, which made me tear up. And my father and FIL had a shouting match on phone about it, so father and mother aren't coming to reception anymore. Fiancé is happy and I am happy that our wedding and reception area going to be drama-free. We will definitely have security there, but it's gonna be hard explaining everyone what happened. Many people are gonna bail out of the wedding. I haven't talked to them since, and will probably contact father after wedding and reception are over. Last night, I am gonna be honest, I cried like a baby saying that my mother and father aren't gonna be there, but my fiancé comforted me. Probably the most amazing woman I met, can't wait to spend my life with her, and I failed my PhD exam lol. Results came few hours ago, gonna try afterwards IG. Going forward I am probably gonna be low contact with father and no contact with mother. Comments. Commenter 1. Man, life's throwing some wild curveballs at you. Keep your chin up. Remember, at the end of the day it's about you and your amazing fiancé. Wishing you both a drama-free and lovely day. Commenter 2. And don't contact your father after your wedding. Let him reach out to you. He chose not to attend. Reply, okay. Commenter 3. OP, that advice is solid. Do not bow down to your parents. Do not reach out first. Let them come to you. And absolutely they are not allowed back in your lives until they give a heartfelt apology to your wife. That should be the first step. In fact, a phone call should go something like this. Update, I am married now and she's the most wonderful woman I could have gotten. 10 days later. TLDR, few weeks ago my mom wanted to invite my ex to the wedding whom I had cheated on years ago. She disrespected my fiancé, so I had uninvited her and my father had also refused to come. So yesterday I got married. It was the happiest day of my life, but yeah, it sucked not having my parents there whom I thought wouldn't go this much against me. They didn't even come to the reception too. It honestly cried after the reception, but my fiancé was understanding and comforted me. I couldn't have asked for a better half than her. My ex had sent a message of congratulations after wedding which I replied with thanks. After wedding I still haven't contacted my parents, but father had sent an air fryer as a wedding gift to my address, which is like an appliance, so gonna use it. Reception was awesome too, thanks to y'all for those wonderful comments supporting and suggesting me. I honestly thought I don't deserve all this due to how terrible I was in the past, but people can change. If you have done something wrong in past, don't let it define yourself, keep it in your mind and move on. You can change. Comments. Commenter 1. Good for you. Growth is uncomfortable and messy, but you pushed through it. You held firm on boundaries, owned your past, and chose love built on mutual respect. That's real redemption. And hey, enjoy that air fryer, it's petty peace in appliance form. Commenter 2. Well done on your self-awareness, admitting fault and consciously trying to be a better person. Unfortunately there will still be doubters and negative people. Ignore them and just keep making positive changes. I'm sorry about your family. I think even your ex saw it was inappropriate for her to attend. Your mom has lots of issues, and if she was truly a friend cared for your ex, she wouldn't want her at your wedding. It would have created drama that your ex would have been in the spotlight firing line. Your mom not attending your wedding is just a symptom of the bigger relationship issues. But not attending was the final nail. It was a time when she could witness you truly being happy. It's like she can't forgive you for something you did to someone else. She holding on to something that everyone else has moved on from. I guess this is her hill. She hasn't even given your wife a fair chance. Go for therapy and embrace your wife's family, they sound great. Congratulations. When you grow, learn and work on your character, you deserve to be happy. Good luck. Reply, yeah, she's a good person. I brought drama into ex's life. Glad she's moved on now and I am not there. I have a new half to focus on. Stories number 26. In-laws straining my marriage, but it's my fault apparently. First post, so bear with me. About a year ago, me, 28F, and my husband, 30M, allowed my BAL, 19M, to move in with us to get him out of a rough situation and help him start adulating. This was about May of last year. I agreed to have him move in with the promise from BIL and husband that it was only going to be a couple of months until BIL found a roommate to move out with. He is also to pay some rent monthly as he has a full-time job now, keep his area clean, and help out around the house. Keep in mind I have 2 children under the age of 5 and also work, and I'm still the housekeeper. Cleaning, cooking food, etc. While my husband also works about 60 hours a week. Fast forward those couple of months, no luck on finding a roommate. BL still living with us. Okay, he's young. I'm just gonna give him some more time to figure this out. I'm trying to be understanding and gracious, as I also had some help getting on my feet at this age. I have confronted BL a few times asking, so how is the roommate search going? You found an apartment yet? Only to be answered with shrugs and I don't know. I will say, at this point I'm starting to feel in the dark with what is actually going on. As in, is there even a plan of him moving out? Is he even looking for a roommate or an apartment? Husband says just give him more time and that he's working on it. Frustrated, it's Christmas time now and he's requesting to have his girlfriend of 2 years, who lives out of state, to move in too with the promise that she has a job and they will move out in 1 month. I tell my husband that I'm not comfortable with it, as BIL was not supposed to be here at this time in the first place. Husband says I'm overreacting and starts making comments of making me sound like I don't care about his family. Angry, I just shut down and keep my mouth shut to avoid the argument. My next mistake. Girlfriend moves in and surprise, doesn't have a job and claims she's been looking for one for 3 months now since living under my roof. Fast forward to now. Rent is not being paid anymore, the cleaning of their own areas have stopped, and there has been absolutely no trying to find a way to move out of my home. I've quit asking bail questions to keep myself from being furious and directed the questions towards my husband. At this point I'm done trusting that my husband has any plan or control in this whole situation, which is driving me insane. Anytime I bring it up to my husband, I'm met with hostility and accusations of just wanting to throw his family out on the street and that I shouldn't be upset with this because I agreed to it. Agreed to what? Yes, I agreed to BL moving in for a couple of months. Yes, I graciously gave him extra time to figure things out. At this point I no longer feel comfortable in my own home and every day me and my husband argue about it, which always turn into very ugly outcomes. We don't even sleep in the same bed anymore. I'm annoyed that I've been conned into taking on two grown adults, while trying to raise my own family. I'm angry that I'm being made out to be the bad guy when all I wanted was to be helpful. I don't know what to do anymore. I guess my main question to the Reddit world is, Aita, because I let this all happen in the first place. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA, but that sounds like a terrible situation. Something you may not have considered, if the GF or BL go the legal route, because they have been there that long they could actually fight being evicted. Your husband is the AH in this case. Tell him he has to clean up their area, make their dinner, etc. Any food they eat should come out of his spending money. Commenter 2. You have a DH problem, get into marriage counseling, find alternate housing for you and the kids. Now, if counseling doesn't work out, take your kids and visit family or friends for a couple of weeks and let him sort it out with his brother, and then tell him the condition that you will return home is when they are gone or you won't return and you can divorce. Update. BL, 19M, and his GF has overstayed their welcome in my, 28F, and my husband's, 30M, home. 10 plus months for the BIL and 3 plus months for the GF. I was conned into the whole situation when both husband and BL said it would only be for a couple months, which was last May. Rent has stopped being paid, cleaning of their own areas stopped, and there has been no attempt of them to leave my home. I'm uncomfortable in my own home and my husband absolutely blows up at me anytime I bring it up, and accuses me of hating his family and wanting to throw them out on the street. First, I would like to say thank you all for the different perspectives. Most of all the responses said I should just kick all three of them out and say good riddance. I will say, some of the responses gave me a good little laugh in this extremely frustrating situation, so thank you for that too. Taking everything into consideration, I gave my husband an ultimatum last night and I'm sticking to it. They need to be gone by June 1st, with all rent paid according to how I had laid it out, or else I'm moving out with the kids into an apartment. I'm also not cooking for them, just enough for me and the kids. All laundry detergents and toiletries will be kept in my closet and internet passwords will be changed. Now, before I get 2 months is too much time for them, hear me out. This is also time for me to get my ducks in a row should I actually be moving out. Which, in theory, I'll know by mid-May if they aren't moving out, if they don't have anything lined up by then. I really do doubt my husband is wanting this to actually happen, me and the kids moving out, but I wouldn't put it past him thinking that I'm bluffing. All in all, I would hope it doesn't have to come to that point. I am happy to learn though, after sketching a quick budget, that I would be able to support me and both of my children with my own income if worst came to worst. Thanks again. Comments. Commenter 1. Based on how your husband has dealt with this situation, I hope he is not calling your bluff, but be ready. Good luck. Commenter 2. Oh, he absolutely is, and then he'll have shocked Pikachu face when she leaves. Commenter 3. It was all so sudden and he had no idea why. Commenter 4. Ah yes, the good old, it came out of nowhere shtick. Update. BL, 19M, has overstayed his welcome at my, 28F, home for a year now. Moved in his GF, was not paying rent. GF went 3 months under my roof with no job and neither one of them contributing to the house. I work, have 2 kids under the age of 5, and at my wit's end. My husband, 30M, yells at me constantly for wanting to kick them out, and it's not that bad. Aita. So here we are, getting really close to June 1st, and yes, they are still living in my house. Here's where things are getting gray for me and need all the advice possible. I recently got diagnosed with stage 2 hypertension and working on getting that under control. I have chronic anxiety and experience rolling panic attacks that last for up to a week, sometimes twice a year. Since my last post I had a 4-day episode, as well as the diagnosis. Doc says I'm far too young to have a diastolic pressure chilling at 97 and will be dead in 15 years if I don't make changes now. Since then, I have been stepping back and focusing on me. Getting healthy, losing weight, etc. With that said, my husband has been a lot nicer to me and helping out around the house so I can focus on myself and my kids. The constant shouting has basically stopped, the gaslighting is non-existent, and for once I actually feel confident about my future. Since the diagnosis, the energy in my house has completely changed, and what I feel may be for the better. Bill's girlfriend has gotten a full-time job at the end of last month and to my surprise, has been sticking to it. Also, rent has been paid since me laying down the law back in March. They have picked up the cleaning routine, buy their own groceries, and actually seem to be doing well for themselves. Shoot, the GF has even been helping me out with the kids if I seem too stressed. They are actively looking at apartments and attempting to move out. But, it's looking like they are wanting to push out the June 1st deadline. Would I be showing myself as a doormat if I let them have a couple more weeks? Or is it my obligation to follow through with the deadline I gave in the beginning? I have a feeling my husband did have a lot to do with them getting their shit together, which I'm grateful for. Kinda sucks that I have to risk a stroke in order to get through to him though. That's another topic for a different day, I think. Next morning update. I put my kids down for the night last night and I brought the deadline up to my husband again. I calmly asked, hey, June 1st is coming up, any progress? No. Are you going to talk to them about it? No. Then he flipped. Really bad. Starting yelling at me at the top of his lungs. I told him we had an agreement and then he basically told me to hell with the agreement. I lost it, guys. I told him it's obvious he doesn't care about me or my feelings and that he's welcome to leave with them too. He says, okay, tell me when you want me out. I told him June 1st was already the date. He shut down, stopped talking. He stormed out the door. Said he wasn't going to fight about it tonight. I tried calling and messaging him, no response. He turned off his location. He came back late last night, doesn't say a word. Wakes up this morning and then tries to small talk with me. Like nothing happened. I ignored it all. Not because I'm trying to be petty, but because I genuinely don't know how to process this. My oldest wakes up today and asks why is daddy not staying at our house anymore. So knowing that my 4-year-old heard all of this commotion is divesting me. Comments. Commenter 1. Please don't let them stay for a couple more weeks because it won't be a couple more weeks. The reason they're all being nice now is because you got a health scare. Be honest with yourself and ask yourself if this change would have happened if you didn't need to focus on yourself more. Once you get better, or see that you look better regardless of how you're truly feeling, they'll go back to the old ways. Stick to the June 1st deadline and now you have even more reason, although you didn't need one before, to not want to have to deal with other people at home, where it should be your safe space to relax and not worry about whether they'll keep pretending to be nice or how long it's gonna last. I hope you get better and I truly wish you all the best. Reply, thank you for the advice, I put an update in the post. Last night didn't go well at all. Looks like I may be a single mom now. Looking back, I definitely see where I was putting myself last to save the peace, but for what? My kids need me alive and happy. If anyone is going to be put first over myself, it's going to be my kids. Period. Point blank. Commenter 2. I doubt they are going to leave on June 1st. Do you have anywhere to go? Your parents. You should be ready to move if they don't. Reply, my parents are close in proximity to me and they know everything that's going on and are ready for me and my kids to move in at moment's notice if needed. I'll be working on eviction notices, because the house is in my name. I know that I said in previous posts that I was going to move out, but I decided it's not my place to leave this house. It's theirs. Update. I'm a working mother of 2 young children and my BL moved in for a year that was only supposed to be for a couple of months. Also moved in his GF, she didn't have a job for months afterwards. My health severely declined from constant stress and anxiety of wanting them to leave. Husband got hostile any time I brought up them needing to go. Ada, they are out. Moved out about a month ago. Life as I know it is getting back to normal again. My husband got the message with the divorce papers. We have since been having way more open communication and I have decided to hold off proceeding with divorce ATM to see if there is anything worth saving in this relationship. I have since had some more health issues come up that I am going through a couple of procedures for next week and that has been my main focus for the last couple of weeks, hence the no reply for a while. I appreciate all the support and advice from everyone. I am taking every day still here on this earth as a blessing. Especially now that I have peace in my home and can sit back and breathe. I have also had the conversation with my husband about if he actually cares enough about me to stay with me through my procedure's possible diagnosis because I do not want to live what could be my possible last days with someone who isn't there physically, emotionally, and mentally. He has taken off work next week to take care of me throughout it all and I'm just going to go from there. Comments. Commenter 1. Reading your past posts, your husband deserves to be divorced. The mad disrespect towards the person that brought his children onto this world is insane. You risked your overall health, got even more stressed, and you progressively deteriorated into a bad mental space and now are having medical procedures. With the track record he's showing, he'll yell at you while in hospital all frustrated and shit because he's a man-child and use it against you that now he's there. Why can't you just be happy? He deserves to be kicked to the curb permanently. I know relationships and marriages aren't as easy as Reddit paints them to be and divorce isn't the solution in every case, but come on, you seem of sound mind. He's an awful person. Commenter 2. Have you seriously considered your health issues are tied to, or at least been exacerbated, by the stress? Particularly your husband's behavior. While the BIL and GF certainly stressed you, it has been your husband's reactions that have been most concerning to me. Your husband has been abusive during this situation. When he started getting it together, that is typical of abusers who think you may leave. He couldn't hold on once you asked about the deadline. Side note, to the true crime junkies, am I the only one who's thinking poisoning? Stories number 27. My fiancé went to the ER 3 times with severe abdominal pain. Only on the 3rd visit did they finally take her seriously. We went to the same ER 3 separate times because my fiancé kept having intense abdominal pain. First visit, she was in pain for hours. We waited for 11 hours in the waiting room. Eventually, they gave her an 4 drip. It helped. Second visit, similar pain, they did some basic tests, gave her another 4. It helped again. But this time, the doctor told us there's nothing serious going on. Maybe don't come back next time. It felt dismissive, but what could we do? Third visit, same pain, same ER, but this time, they ran more comprehensive tests, CT scan, ultrasound, blood work. Turns out, she had gallstones. She was referred for surgery, and thankfully everything went well. But I can't stop thinking about how much pain and stress she had to go through just to be taken seriously. We went to the same hospital every time. Why did it take 3 ER visits for someone to investigate properly? Not angry, just tired, and frustrated. She deserved better from the start. Stories number 28. My 22F boyfriend, 26M, is terrified of spiders and is demanding that I move my pet tarantula to the basement. I am refusing because the basement is too cold for the animal to survive. We are at a standstill and I need advice on what to do. I, 22F, met my boyfriend, 26M, exactly 2 years ago. At the time, I had 3 pet tarantulas, Skittles, Mittens, and Christopher. I don't know how much you all know about tarantulas, but they live in warm environments, specifically the rainforest and desert for my TS. They also never leave their enclosures for any reason, just like a fish. A year ago, I moved into the house my boyfriend owns. Originally, the tarantulas were all placed into the basement office. It was summer and the tarantulas were fine. When winter came, I noticed the basement was unaffected by the central heater. Only one room in the basement has heat, and it isn't the office the TS were in. In February, Skittles passed away and I moved the remaining 2 TS to the upstairs office, to still keep them out of sight. In October, it started to get cold again. I noticed that the upstairs office was the coldest room on the floor. I researched reptile heating pads, but everything said not to use them for young tarantulas. I put a space heater in the office, but a draft still made the ambient room temperature too low. I tried everything I could, but then Mittens passed away as well. Left with 1 tarantula, I moved Christopher to the kitchen dining room peninsula where it was definitely warm enough. Christopher is in a container smaller than a shoebox in size. My boyfriend immediately demanded that I remove Christopher from the kitchen and put him in the basement. I asked my boyfriend if there was anywhere else the T could go on the upper floor besides the office, and I was told to put him in the basement. Basically, we got into an argument about this. I explained about the health concerns for the animal, and my boyfriend said he didn't care. I explained to him that whether or not he liked it, the spider was in my care and I was ethically obligated to care for it no matter what. I said that I've had Christopher for 4 years and that I had the tarantulas before we started dating. My boyfriend said he would think about it, but Christopher is still on the counter and it's become the elephant in the room. What should I do? TLDR, had 3 pet tarantulas, 2 of them died from the cold. I moved the remaining 1 to the kitchen for warmth, boyfriend says he's too scared of it. I have to care for this animal no matter what. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Reading through your explanations about external heat sources and such, could you not put Christopher in a larger tank, in the basement, with an external heat source near one side of the tank. Wouldn't that give him the ability to choose where he is most comfortable at any given time, close to the heat or further from it? Reply: I would put him in a larger tank, but that was another fight my boyfriend and I had. He wants the tea kept in the smallest tank possible. If the tank were larger, I would do exactly as you said. For the size of the tea, it should be in a container roughly 12 by 12 by 9 inches. Anything bigger is just fluff, which I don't mind at all. Update: to clear some things up, I asked my boyfriend if the spiders were okay to have in the house before we moved in together. He said it was fine as long as they were not visible. The basement part happened only because my display case is in the basement, but there was never an agreement to keep the spiders only in the basement, just out of sight. As for the cage, I had asked to increase the size a few months ago. My boyfriend disagreed on spending the money for a larger cage. We split finances, but he's a student and I'm the only one bringing in income, and also because it made him uncomfortable. We had been discussing it for months. For the other dead tarantulas, I have cared for inverts since I was a child. I have 3 pet scorpions as well, but no one seems to be scared of the scorpions. Now for the update. After I got home from work, I asked to have a talk. I asked my boyfriend if there was any way to compromise about the spiders. I asked if he was willing to let me get a bigger cage and keep Christopher in the basement, and he said no. I asked if I could move the spider to a different room, and he said no. I asked if there was anything I could do, and he said no. All he said was no. I had asked him to elaborate. I asked him why he would allow me to move in at all, and he said it was because he thought the spiders would die in a few months like fish. I explicitly had explained to him that tarantulas live for 10+ years. I asked if he was willing to seek therapy at all, and he told me, I don't need to seek therapy just because you decided to bring in a nasty creature into my house. I'm not the one with the problem. You have problems. You're a bitch, and you're even more of a bitch for thinking it would be okay for me to put up with your monsters. Only a fucking evil monster would allow another evil monster to live with her. Take your evil monsters with you and get the fuck out of my house, whore. At this point, I couldn't believe that someone I loved called me a bitch and a whore, so I just calmly went and started packing up my things. My boyfriend followed me from room to room calling me a spider whore, no, I'm not making that up, and asking me if I would rather date Peter Parker. I told him to please leave me alone so I could pack, and he got violent. He started picking up my clothes and throwing them at me, as well as kicking my legs. I then called the police and went outside to sit in my locked car. While waiting, my boyfriend was pounding on the car door. He then went back inside and returned with Christopher's cage and threw it at me, then he kicked my cat. Well, police showed up, boyfriend was arrested. He's being charged with domestic violence and animal cruelty because my cat has a broken rib. Christopher is dead. TLDR, if your partner is mean enough to hate an innocent animal, he's not a good partner. Run away before he kills your pets, like mine did. Edit: if another person says this isn't real, I'm deleting the post. There's no point in posting if no one believes me. Final comments. Commenter 1. I am very sorry for the loss of your spider. While I can understand that he may have a phobia of spiders, him completely losing it like that is extremely overdoing it. I say this with all seriousness, and am not trying to downplay your loss. Maybe you can see Christopher dying as him making a sacrifice to save you from a bad relationship choice. Reply: thanks, smiley face. I don't know if I can think of my baby as a sacrifice, but I know that Christopher wouldn't have wanted me to stay with a guy like that. I'm going to miss my fuzzy dude. Commenter 2. He's going to get some jail time, I think. I hope you can get your affairs in order and never see him again. It sucks that a pet had to die, but at least you're not going to have to be around this guy anymore. Reply: I hope he gets jail time. The police took photos of the bruises on my legs, so there is proof. The neighbor across the street also witnessed everything that happened outside, including him kicking the cat. When someone commented that happened, OOP added more info. I feel like that escalated quickly, but my boyfriend has a history of anger issues with previous girlfriends. He was arrested for DV harassment when he was 19, but his then girlfriend testified for him and the charges were dropped. I thought that 6 years was enough to change someone, but I was wrong. Everything he did to the animals he did because I called the police. He snapped because there were drugs in the house and he didn't want to go to jail again. His DV harassment was for shouting, not for hitting, but I should have known better. I didn't include it because I assumed this was a stupid argument over a tarantula, and maybe with some advice for overcoming a phobia. We haven't had any major fights over anything but the tarantula. Things were perfect besides this. As for the drugs, it was weed. Stories number 29. Aita for refusing to take in my about-to-be orphan step-siblings. My dad has been married to a lady called Charlotte for 6.5 years. I, 26F, never lived with Charlotte or Charlotte's kids who were 1 and 3 when she married my dad. They lost their father when Charlotte was pregnant with the youngest. Now my dad has been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer and Charlotte with terminal cervical cancer, and Charlotte is now receiving hospice care. They want me to take in her children and raise them as nobody in their bio families can, is willing, and my dad's family have never had anything to do with them. But I never had much to do with them either. I was not very involved in their lives. I saw them once or twice a year and was never super close to my dad either. Nothing has changed with his diagnosis, and a part of me has some resentment that he cares so much about these kids but not me, the kid who is his bio kid, who he always seemed mostly disinterested in. Dad and Charlotte are going nuts that I would let her kids go into foster care, and they have told me time and time that these kids are my siblings. Step-siblings, yes. But they are in no way my real siblings, and I am in no way willing to essentially become their parent. My refusal has been met with so much hostility from both my dad and Charlotte, and now she's scrambling to find someone else while trying to shame me into changing my mind. Stories number 30. AIO to a man touching my son in the pool. Today I took my 8-year-old son to our community pool. A man in his 50s was tanning in a chair. There was just one other family there at the other end of the pool, and he jumped in the pool when we saw a hornet struggling in the water. He wanted to save it and help it out of the pool. Then he jumped back in and swam up to us while doing the Jaws music, and revealed a shark toy to my son and I. He had just cleared some goggles and other things from the pool and said he had found it. We chatted for a bit about the movie Jaws, since he had just watched a documentary on it. I was getting some weird vibes from the guy, but figured he was just strange. Then my son and I went in a sprinkler near the pool, and very quickly my son got bored of it and wanted to go back in the pool, but the guy had already walked up and wanted to join us in the sprinkler. We went back in the pool and he stayed there for a minute. The guy got back on his chair and my son and I hung out in the pool for a bit. Then I got a work call and had to step out of the pool, but I stayed in the pool area and kept my eye on my son. Pretty quickly, the guy got back in the pool and started making conversation with my son. He also kept getting closer to him. And then, he started touching my son's arm and rubbing, pointing to different parts of his arm. At that time, I ran up and yelled, "Why are you touching my son?" He took his hand off my son, and said, "Oh, I'm just showing him where his radial bone is," and I said aggressively, "You should not be touching my son. Do not touch him." At that point, the guy tried to turn it around on me and say that he heard me being mean to my son earlier. He had made a big mess putting on sunscreen, and I did get frustrated for a second and call him a disaster. He got out of the pool and left, but then he came back about 15 minutes later. I asked him if he was trying to fight or something. I was worried he was coming back to attack me for calling him out, but he said he just needed to pee. I said to him, "Sorry if you were just trying to be friendly, but I don't want any stranger touching my kid." Then he said again, "You called him a disaster, so I really question your loyalty." So I said, "Well, I'd be an even worse father if I let strangers touch my kid." I'm 95% sure this guy was being shady, because my son says he had just mentioned that you could change the radius on a filter jet in the pool, and the guy instantly turned the conversation to something about my son's body and found an excuse to touch him. I also think maybe because I had gotten annoyed at my son earlier, he thought my son was an easy target and I wouldn't pay attention to him being creepy and touching him. But not sure if I did the right thing by yelling at him or not. The guy did end up standing by the fence outside the pool area and staring at us for a while. I was considering calling the cops. Then he left his bike there and wandered off, and I decided to leave before he came back.